We'll start off by introducing ourselves, I guess. Hello, everyone. I am Dimitri, and I am joined by none other than Scooteezy.
Jesus.
We'll be commentating for today. Two opponents for today is Matthew Mitchell and Nick Crawford. Do you want to go over the Maridon team?
Yeah, I mean, I can. I just want to say thank you for using my online name. You got your real name, so I do appreciate that. But yeah, look, Matt's running a pretty cool team here. He's got Terry Ghost Choice Specs Maridon, which is something we have seen picking up a bit recently. Has opted for Dragon Pulse over Draco Meteor, which is pretty cool. Doesn't want to miss any moves. But then, yeah, we got a supportive Volcarona on the team, Flame Body Electric Seed, which is pretty interesting. I haven't really seen that before. We've also just got, a pretty standard Surging Strikes Urshifu Rapid here with Mystic Water. There's Whimsicott as well with Covert Cloak, Light Screen, basically just a pretty standard set. The Qian Powered Focus Sash, and then a Terra Ground Iron Crown on this team as well, which is pretty interesting. I do think Crowd on these Maridon teams is a bit underexplored because obviously you get the boost to your Tachyon cutter, I believe. But yeah, it should be pretty interesting. I'm curious to see how Matt does play this. Do you want to speak about Nick's team here, and then we can kind of go over the matchup?
Alrighty, let's open up Nick's team here. It seems like a more traditional Zamazenta team with some unique picks. We've got Latios with Life Orb over the Soldier item. Pretty regular items, Lustrous Purse, Drago Immediate, Tailwind. We've got Zamazenta Terra Grass with the traditional set of Wide Guard Body Press Heavy Slam, Shem Power Terra Ghost with Focus Sash, Ice Spinner Lash Out and Sucker Punch. We have Ogerpon with no redirection on this one, Swords Dance instead, Fluttermane as support with Taunt, Icy Wind and Moon Blast. And we have the Choice Scarf Lando Eye with Earth Power, Sludge Bomb, Psychic, Sandsear Storm, and Terra Poison.
Now, one thing I will say that's like really, really interesting in this matchup is because this is a Terra Ghost Maridon, it obviously can just kind of avoid the Zamazenta's body presses, which is really its main way of dealing damage to a lot of these restricted. But we do have to be careful, obviously, of the Qian Power, right? That's the one where it's like if Maridon ever clicks Terra Ghost, it is going to be pinned by Sucker Punch. So it's going to be really interesting to see how both players play this. Obviously, Qian Power as well is super good in this matchup with the ability to remove terrain. It is running Ice Spin on this set, so I'm really curious to see, how Nick kind of runs this, especially into Maridon here.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is we don't have that many spread moves coming from it's Matthew's side, so Wide Guard won't play as much of a role here, but I think just the raw damage output from Maridon could, overwhelm his opponent.
I mean, look, that's the main thing, right? Like, obviously, looking at Nick's team here, like, his Tailwind setter is his Latios, right? Which definitely isn't a bad mon, but it's a mon also where if he, gets the prediction wrong, because he does have to Terra in the face of Maridon, right? If Whimsicott is next to Maridon here, he does have to Terra. So he doesn't have to Terra. He has to make the read, right? It's either, is the Dragon Pulse going to come in and OHKO it, or is he going to go Terra Steel and just get bopped by a Volt Switch? So I do think speed control is going to be pretty important here. If I'm Nick, I don't think I'm bringing Lardy to this matchup just because it is pretty rough. But maybe he values the speed control a lot here, and he really wants to just match the speed, which would then allow his Landorus Eye to kind of, start outspeeding everything with that Choice Scarf. Especially too with the boost of Fluttermane as well there to, kind of help control a bit of the speed.
100%.
Gonna be interesting though to see what these guys lead here. Do you have any predictions for it?
Okay, so they seem to have led pretty safely here. We've got Maridon Volcarona versus the Shem Pow and the Landorus. I really like the Volcarona here because of the Psychic Seed. I think it carves a real good Electric Seed. Carves a real niche in these sort of matchups. But Lando is leading very offensively, so.
Yeah, and look, the scary thing here as well, right, is Sandsear Storm, because obviously the fastest mon on the board right now is this Landorus. So the question is, what are we going to do here about it? Now, in saying that, obviously having Rage Pattern to Qian Power here is really, really good. If he goes for the Ice Spinner, there's a good chance he gets burnt. If he gets burnt, he loses his Focus Sash, right? But yeah, this Landorus obviously is putting a lot of pressure onto this Miraidon right now. So the question is, how is he going to deal with it? And it does look like he is going to opt here for the Terra Ghost as well. Hasn't locked it in yet, but good chance he goes for it. Okay, now he has locked it in now. It's going to be really interesting here to see what the Landorus does, because a Sensei Storm here will still do quite a bit of damage to this Miraidon.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful attack.
Alrighty, we've got the pretty safe redirection. See what they're targeting with here.
The Qianpao here also doesn't protect.
Double attack. Interesting thing to note is that they're faster with both Mons here, so Shenpao's probably Jolly.
Yeah, highly likely that it's Jolly.
Ooh, a big critical hit onto the Landorus. I'm not sure.
Wow, okay. But I think it does without electric terrain.
Yeah, definitely. So that puts him in a very comfortable position. I think he'd be very happy with that.
Yeah, that's really good for Matthew there to get that crit. That makes this matchup so much easier, because now as well, he has the redirection piece here, which means Qianpao cannot just pin him with Sucker Punch. The Ladi will come out here now too. And again, I think this is kind of where what I was saying earlier about, needing to make a prediction here, because right now, he's really not threatened on the Miraidon. Obviously, the Qianpao here should be faster than the Latios based on what we've seen so far. So there is always the option here to redirect whatever Qianpao does here, and then potentially pick up a KO, or at least do a lot of damage to one of the two pieces.
Yeah.
But it does look like Matthew has opted to save the Miraidon here. Going to be really curious to see what Nick does.
Yeah, I think it's pretty safe for him to either rip that Terra on the Latios and get a Tailwind off, and maybe attack the opposing slot, but I guess we can see what happens here. Qianpao gets switched in, so he can change up his move, and we see a Terra presumably on the Latios.
Yeah, that would have been my assumption going to this, because obviously he was locked into Dragon Pulse, so it is pretty safe here to go for the Terra Steel.
Yeah.
Now the question is, where did the Qianpao target?
Very nice.
Lash
so
out.
Qianpao lashes out on the Volcarona to stop it from getting its own Tailwind. Ooh, and a lustrous purge from the Ladia.
Wow, okay. Good read by Matthew then, I guess.
Yes.
Is this going to be a free switch hit? Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden this looks really tough for Miraidon as long as that Qianpao's alive. It's just pinned by Sucker Punch. It basically can't play. I think if Nick here can take a KO and keep his Qianpao alive, it puts him in a really good position.
Definitely.
Well, he's going to go the Sacred Sword here. I'm curious, do you think right now something like Aqua Jet plus Sacred Sword into the Qianpao would be safer here? Or I
think there is potential for that play. Once you get Qianpao off the field, you can sort of bring Miraidon in a bit more safely.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm looking at this.
Yeah, I think is it Nick? He's aware that this Qianpao is worth its weight in gold, so he's not going to get rid of it until the time is right.
Yeah, it's a good read there. That Sacred Sword, though, will do a lot of damage into Zamazenta here.
Okay, they set up a Tailwind here. Interesting play.
And I do think it is worth noting here, this is not a Focus Sash Urshifu. This is Mystic Water, which means it is in a pretty rough position right now. Obviously, I do believe a double up will be needed to KO this. I don't think Zamazenta with one body press gets it done. But yeah, all of a sudden, I do think Nick is in a pretty solid position here.
Yeah, Nick definitely has the advantage in terms of speed and offense. However, I think he still needs to make a call correctly. If he loses the Qianpao or too early, he will potentially lose this game. So
I do agree, because this Qianpao right now is the only thing really stopping the Terra Ghost Miraidon in the back. Heavy Slam will not be enough to get through it in time, and one Electro Gift will just KO Zamazenta at this range. So it's going to be really interesting here to see what Mitch goes for. Oh, sorry, Matt.
Alrighty, so it seems like Matt is wanting to double target to catch his opponent off guard.
Ooh, the lash out.
We get
Sash is broken.
You get the KO into the Shen Pao, which leaves Urshifu free to click close combat into the Zamazenta, and that is a dead Zamazenta.
Wow, okay. So really, really good call there to go for the attack into Zamazenta there. Obviously, Chen Pao with Focus Sash would have been able to live another turn. But also, too, I believe the Sword of Ruin definitely comes into play there in terms of picking up that KO.
Yeah.
It just secures it. It was probably in the Shifu's favor anyway, but having it on the board there definitely just makes it, a bit more guarantee. But this should be a pretty solid endgame for Matt here. Obviously, you can just go to Surging, you can just go to Close Combat, whatever he opts for here.
Yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't
Surging, yeah, I agree. I think you want to keep your defensive stat, but also this puts it on 1 HP, which does put it in range of the Aqua Jet.
Oh, and Lash Out does not pick up the Miraidon.
Wow, that's a bulky Miraidon there.
That's a very interesting calc to know for in the future. Okay, so that definitely affects how the next game will be played.
That is really important knowing that, because obviously if he lives the Lash Out too, it means he lives the Sucker Punch, which is very, very important, right? 100%. Especially in a game like this where the fastest mons are the Chen Pals, but right after that it will be the Miraidons. We do know this Miraidon's a little bit slower. Obviously we got to an end game where so yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how Nick adapts for that going into game 2, because the obvious win condition there was just Chen Pal.
Very interesting that the choice to opt out of using Throat Chop or Crunch and instead using Lash Out for its benefit when your attack is decreased actually may cost him, the little bit of damage that he needs to pick up the Miraidon in instances like that. And although it seemed like a bit of a locked game in that instance, for game 2 and 3, this is something that he's going to need to consider, that he may need a bit of chip on the Miraidon to KO it.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how they change here. They are changing the music as well. You love to see it. And to change it up in between rounds.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I'm looking at this now for Nick. I do think Nick's biggest problem in that game was he lost his Landorus for nothing, right? That was the mon where, with speed control, it should have been the fastest thing in the game. It should have been the one that was pressuring, the Urshifu. It's the one that should have been pressuring the Miraidon. So losing it as early as he did, definitely, I do think, hurt him. But yeah, so it's going to be really interesting to see how he wants to change it up here, because, if Matt does here, lead for the Volcarona, it's going to be really interesting just to pressure that Miraidon turn 1 without something like Landorus. But, how do you keep the Landorus safe from just eating a Dragon Pulse again?
Yeah, definitely. I think this will be a very, very important game to focus on keeping the pieces that you need in order to get the win. I think Landorus will play a big role here. I think Shen Pao will play a big role here. I think for Matthew's side, the Volcarona is providing such amazing support, and the fact that he wasn't able to kill the Volcarona quick enough made it a lot more difficult for him. So...
Yeah, definitely. Something I will also just throw out there as well, I've run the calc on this. The Miraidon out of terrain still has a decent chance to pick up Landorus without the crit. So definitely something to keep in mind going into this game. It's not even necessary for that crit to get the KO. So it will be interesting to see how Nick adapts. Oh, and it looks like the group has been disbanded. So we do have a little bit more time here, I guess, before the next round starts. I guess, yeah, looking at it, what do you think is... Nick's win condition here? Because as you said, I think he needs to find a better way through the Volcarona. But unfortunately, his team doesn't really have great ways through it. It's kind of Latios and it's Landorus, but again, they're two pretty important mons in regards to, putting pressure onto that Miraidon.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It makes me wonder if he brings one of his other pieces that he didn't bring last game, whether it is the Flutter main for Icy Wind support, maybe Taunt to stop the redirection from the Volcarona, or if it's the Ogerpon Heartflame, getting it into position with a Swords Dance and, hitting it with a Mallet.
Yeah, I do think Ogerpon with a bit of support this game could definitely go crazy, especially if you are able to bait out the Terra again. If you can get them right on to go Terra Ghost, all of a sudden, the Ogerpon with a Flutter main next to it with a bit of Icy Wind speed control could really just run through this game at +2.
Yeah, 100%. I think Ogerpon Heartflame has been increasing a lot in popularity lately because of its matchup into some of these bigger restricteds and just the resistances that it provides. I think the fact that the opponent will be forced to lock into Dragon Pulse if it wants to deal with it, you could exploit that potentially in the future. But alrighty, we're back into the next game, team selection. We'll see if they deviate from what they originally planned, or nope. Seems like they're locking straight in.
Yeah, look, I think Matt had a plan. He locked in his 4 before, so I think he knows what he's going for here. I definitely do like this going Volcarona Urshifu, because this really just allows you to put pressure onto the Chien-Pao's friend if he does bring it, right? Because Chien-Pao on this board, you know, into the Volcarona, into the Urshi, doesn't really do a lot of damage. So being able just to redirect and just fire off Surging Strikes into its friend is, yeah. And I mean, look at his board state here. Obviously, Sandsear Storm right now is a little scary for the Urshifu, but it goes back to what we were saying before. Can Nick really, you know, risk this set on a 80% chance to hit here? And then even if he does hit, you know, based on that HP number on the Urshi, I do think this is pretty bulky.
Yes, it does seem to have a lot of bulk, and it could potentially live the Sandsear. And it's also how much do you want to get rid of this Volcarona, or how much do you want to get rid of this Urshifu? Because Earth Power will always be doing a little bit more damage, so you might want to just focus down the Volcarona and go from there.
Well, based on last game, I don't think he can even take out the Volcarona with a double up. But yeah, look, I think this is the right play by Nick. I think you had to save the Landorus there. It wasn't worth trading chip onto the Volcarona for it. Oh, he's going to go Detect. Okay, interesting.
Detect, Lash Out. We have not received a burn yet from this Volcarona.
That is actually really good damage, but okay, all of a sudden now we are here. Now, and again, this goes back to what we were saying earlier. There's a bit of a pin here onto the Latios, right? Because if he Terra Steals, he just gets nuked by CC. And what I believe what's the bug move Volcarona's running this game?
It's Struggle Bug.
Struggle
Bug,
I don't think
he'll kill it, but I think he'll definitely put some good chip damage into it. I think Urshifu's just got a pretty free ride here at the moment. It can surging into the Chien-Pao if it wishes to pick it up, or it could start chipping away at the Latios, and yeah.
I mean, look, in saying that, looking at this, I do think removing Chien-Pao is definitely the play, and yeah, that's what he's going to go for here. The question is, does he have the damage? Yeah, that's definitely enough.
Beautiful. And now Struggle Bug, since it'll be a single target attack, will do more damage, and it'll, yeah, make Latios a bit more miserable. Oof!
Oh wow, that did a lot more damage than I was actually expecting. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, he does go the Luster Purge. I was thinking that was a potential play. Oh, the only issue now though is Lardy's not really in a position where it can actually like get off a Tailwind safely now. Like it's just taken a good 60-70% chip, and yeah, Landorus can come in, but as we said before, we know the Landorus doesn't live. Like with Electric Terrain up, Dragon Pulse will just KO it.
Yeah. I'm wondering if from this is very interesting, because I'm wondering if it from Nick Crawford's angle is the Landorus sort of a misdirect where he's saying, I want you to Dragon Pulse here to give Latios a turn to set up Tailwind.
I mean, that does feel the best way. I think a safe play for Matt here is just Terra and redirect, and just take out the Latios, right? Because I do think you're right here. I do think Zamazenta is likely switching in here on the Dragon Pulse. And it looks like we are about to see it, because I think that is Nick's win condition here. I just say, hey, you know, I need you to attack into this. I need to stagger the Tailwind, and then, you know, with a bit of speed control by Lardy, all of a sudden can play the game.
Okay, so it seems that Nick opts to stay in here and pretty much say, I'm getting something. I'm getting a Sandsear, or I'm getting a attack off with Lardy.
I'm pretty sure this Landorus is not getting an attack off here. Yeah, he's gone Terra Steel on the Lardy. Is that Terra Steel on the Lardy, sorry?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know about that. Like the that Miraidon Pokemon's pretty broken. I think it just carries it straight through Terra Steel. As a matter of fact, I don't think it would be close.
I think the Terra Steel was to cover for the Struggle Bug, so it doesn't just pick it up.
True.
Sort of still keeps him in the game from here. But right now, you've got a Zamazenta with No,
-2
no real
Lati.
support with a -2 Latios, but
Yeah.
I think you're pretty comfortable here to take it home. I'm not
And
too
look,
sure if you really saw what's in the
this
back. Ooh.
this Volcarona, I actually don't mind this change up at all, because Volcarona in the face of Zamazenta is actually incredibly good, right? It resists both its stab moves, and it has, obviously the flame body. So I do actually think leaving Zama at home here is not the worst thing. But the only thing now is obviously the Fluttermane's putting a bit of pressure onto the Miraidon slot here, just in terms of speed control. It is not running Shadow Ball, so it can't really deal too much damage here. But I do think this is a pretty solid position right now for Matt.
Yes, I do like this adjustment from Nick, but seems like a little bit too late. I think you might have needed to make a call with the Landorus and switch in the Fluttermane. Icy Wind is being opted for the from the Fluttermane, and Latios gets to Draco Meteor, but it misses.
Yeah,
that's not what you want to see. That's very rough.
Look, the end game there was tough, right? Like the win condition, I guess, was the Icy Wind into a Draco Meteor crit. Without that, it felt pretty rough. I don't think a speed boost to Fluttermane with like a support set like this has the damage to get through Miraidon in time, especially if the Volcarona is allowed to just live and just start spamming struggle bugs.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I believe this here should be, all but over. Obviously, the Volcarona now, it can just redirect for its friend. It can reset, the Tailwind here, and it's just a free switch out here for the Miraidon to eventually come back in and seal this up.
Yeah, it seems like that's what's going to happen here. We see the Shempower that was in the back, and we get to see Volcarona clicking a fiery dance. Look, that was a nice mood blast, but I'm not sure that will be enough to bring him back into this game, considering that Tailwind is slowly expiring from the Fluttermane turn. And at any given moment, Volcarona can set up and proceed from there.
Yeah, and look, Volcarona is a mon with a massive special, defense stat, and it's a -1 Fluttermane. So yeah, and the Sucker Punch is just enough to KO. Yeah, very well played by Matt there. He played that incredibly well. Knew his win condition, kept it safe, and eventually just was able to get through and make the Landorus not really that much of a threat.
Yeah.
But in saying that, though, it goes back to what we were saying earlier.
Oh, yep, go on.
Yeah, no, so I was going to say, I'm really curious to see how Sam plays this, because I think Chloe's team has a very solid matchup into this, right? You've essentially got Terapagos with 4 big, physical attackers. Wochen is incredible into most of them. Obviously, here as well, you have screens, right? And of course, there is an Urshifu in the game, but Urshifu is not a mon that necessarily loves to sit in front of Lunala, right? So I am curious to see how Sam plays this. Obviously an incredibly talented player, and we have seen him win a very big tournament with this team. But Chloe's team definitely has a very solid matchup as well, right? I look at this and I think the Urshifu and the Incin really have to do a lot of work in this matchup for Sam. And the question is, how is Chloe going to play around that, right? Of course, she has the Raging Bolt there, which will make life very hard for the Urshifu. The Wochen, obviously, reducing the physical damage of the top 4 mons is very, very good. The potential screens coming out is very, very good. And of course, Lunala kind of it kind of forces Sam to go Terra Stella. If Sam doesn't go Terra Stella, he really doesn't have ways through this.
Yeah.
So it is interesting here to see him. He is leaving Urshifu at home here on Sam, which, definitely isn't the worst thing here, but now I'm kind of wondering how Sam plans on getting through the Incin. If it comes, of course. If it comes.
Yeah. I think, it'll be very interesting to see as well how he tackles this Wochen, because I think one of the unique moves that it has is the Ruination that will break the Terra Shell on the Terapagos without much resistance. So I think Sam is opting to go with the Ogerthon Heart Flame to
break through it, but this is a really good lead here for Chloe. This looks really solid. One thing I was gonna mention as well, though, is a lot of people recently have been running fast Wochens on these setup teams, so there is a good chance as well this Wochen will outspeed Lunala. That is kind of what I expect to see. Just because, you're able to just side pole and puff it, heal it back to full, give it back its Shadow Shield, and then kind of play from there. But looks like Sam gets a really good read here as well. Getting off the Calm Mind on turn 1 is pretty important for him, I think. Because yeah, if he...
It's very hard to punish that unless you were to go for that Thunder Wave onto the Terapagos to try and disrupt it in a way, but...
Yeah, so I was gonna say, yeah, Sam will here look for the sub. The one important thing to remember with Substitute though is Parting Shot does go through it, I believe, because it's a sound-based move.
Correct. So yeah, I think the Substitute is more a protective measure against the Thunder Wave in the future, against the Urshifu post-combating in the future. But I think
do
Sam's
agree.
off to a pretty good start here, because it seems like Chloe's lead might have been a bit too passive, and he's been able to get a Substitute and a Calm Mind boost for free.
Yeah, and now Lunala comes in. The question here, though, right, is the Terapagos gonna be able to break the Lunala here, right? Because Lunala is going to be able to get a Calm Mind of its own. It does have a light screen up, so we are in a position where Sam might have to start attacking with his Ogerpon, and I think he's going to. Obviously, one of the better Pokemon for it, right? You know, a Reflect is up, and, you know, you can kind of just crit through it. Oh, actually, it looks like he's actually going to opt to switch out here. Okay.
I guess the Ogerpon is double. Its attack has been lowered 2 times, so it's not as...
That is very true, yeah.
Incineroar offers some pretty good support into the Lunala, and you can also knock off the leftovers. So I think it's not
yeah.
a bad fit.
I think another important thing to think about as well is it's a good pin by Sam, right? Because he can throw the knockoff into Lunala, which, you know, threatens a lot of damage. Therefore, you potentially get a Terra out of it, and the second you get the Terra out of it, all of a sudden Terapagos starts dealing massive damage with Terra Starstorm.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so it seems to me we're going into a bit of a Calm Mind war. Lunala gets off its first Calm Mind, but Terapagos gets off its second Calm Mind. Seems like he's in a lot more of a dominant position here than Chloe.
Here's what I will say. I think Sam's endgame here is going to be probably just try to stall out screens and then start dealing damage. But the thing you have to worry about with a play like that is you only have 8 Terra Starstorms, and if this Lunala gets up enough, you know, stacks here, Sam might struggle to get through it in 8 attacks. Especially with the power of leftovers and then, you know, some support and protects and whatnot. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this mid game kind of starts to develop, because yeah, it's definitely a bit of a slower paced game right now. We also see Chloe did not opt for Fake Out on that turn.
Yeah. Interesting thing to note, is it a speed tie between Lunala and Terapagos? Because I believe Calm Mind came out of Lunala first on the prior turn.
That is definitely going to be very interesting to keep an eye on, because Lunala naturally is a bit faster than Pagos. I believe it's base 97 versus base 85. So if they are speed tied, that is very interesting. But Sam is also a protect away from getting his Terra Shell back up here, which is like super important to keep in mind. Question is, will he go? Yeah, he will. He's just going to secure it. Very smart here by Sam. Basically, I think at +3 here, there is absolutely no way the Lunala can break the Terra Shell through a sub right now.
Yeah, definitely.
So really smart play.
Yeah, especially since the Substitute sort of acts as I'd say a 50%. Okay, gets the...
That's a lot of damage.
That was a big Moon Blast.
Yeah, but the Reflect is up, but my god, that is a lot of damage out of Incin. Oh, to crit, okay. Makes a lot more sense. So, yeah, all of a sudden...
Reflect as well, that's very unfortunate.
Yeah, all of a sudden, Sam is well and truly within the driver's seat now. He is in a very, very solid position. That crit is, I think that's really game-changing. Just one, removing the leftovers, just meaning the Lunala can't heal back up, I think is incredibly important here. But also, too, now, Terapagos behind the sub, you know, it's, yeah, like, all of a sudden, maybe you're right, maybe it is a speed tie here, and then that maybe changes things a little bit. But I think Sam Pendelis right now is in a very good position.
Yeah, I think with the pieces that Chloe has at the moment, it's going to be very difficult to claw back a victory, but I think what she's probably doing right now is trying to get a better understanding of the other pieces that Sam chose to bring, so that she can make an effective game plan for game 2.
Yeah, I do agree, because, yeah, like, right now, Sam has just done a really good job of protecting this Terapagos, right? And Terapagos is a mon where if you get up 3 calm mines, you're sitting behind a sub, all of a sudden this mon is going to absolutely run away with the game. But I am really curious to see here what is Chloe's plan now for the Terapagos, because, yes, Lunala's set up, but it's a little behind right now. Like, obviously its HP pool is so low that I'm not too sure how she's gonna get through the Terapagos now.
Very, very difficult. Alrighty, we see the Incineroar goes for the safe parting shot into the Ogerpon. We'll have to see what's in the back here that could potentially bring Chloe back the victory. It might need to be that Wo-Chan. Very nice from Chloe.
So one thing to keep in mind here is that Snarl will go through the substitute here and lower the special attack stat, but there's also an Ogerpon sitting in front of a Wo-Chen right now, which is it's pretty scary. Like, let's be honest, right? An Ivy Cudgel crit right now could be absolutely disastrous here for Chloe. And of course, Ivy Cudgel is a move that it crits quite often, so it will be interesting to see here. Lunala goes the double, it's not gonna work. And then the Ivy Cudgel will just go bop here. Yeah, it's a lot of damage. Yeah, another crit too. Obviously, that one's a bit more likely than the last. An important thing to note here is the Terapagos is slower than the Wo-Chen, which is something we did predict at the start. Definitely worth keeping in mind going forward. But I do think Chloe is gonna need to find a better way through these fire types right now.
I think for the starting 2 turns, Sam had too much freedom to pretty much do whatever he wanted. I think he was able to set up calm mind. He was able to set up the substitute, and from there, it almost felt like you're starting the game too late from Chloe's end. I'd like to see Chloe lead with something a bit more aggressive. Maybe not even aggressive, but at least leading with her own Lunala so that she can get equal calm minds to Sam and then play the game from there.
Yeah, and look, I think a big thing here as well is I think that the Urshifu needs to come. The Ogerpon and the Incin did way too much for Sam in this game. I do think, like, bringing that just to even, like, put a bit of pressure on the onto the Incin. Like, now, obviously, Sam is rocking, the Rocky Helmet Incin here, which, pretty decent into the old Urshifu, but, yeah, I think, look, it at least forces Sam to play the game different. Sam got to play the game exactly how he wanted, right? He had his redirection piece, he had his fake out piece, he kept pivoting them while his Terapagos just set up and basically won the game, so... it is going to be interesting to see how Chloe does change things up here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see either Grimmsnarl or Wo-Chen stay at home in place of the Urshifu, but obviously, yeah, I'm definitely curious to see how Chloe kind of is viewing this game right now.
Definitely. Alrighty. I think it will be interesting to see how Chloe adjusts and how Sam will, if Sam does adjust, or if he's just happy with the game plan that he has and he proceeds forward with it. I think I like your suggestion of bringing Urshifu on Chloe's side. I think potentially leaving that Grimmsnarl at home could be worthwhile, and leading the Lunala specifically would get you going with the calm mind.
Sam has made an interesting change up here, though, opting to lead with the Fluttermane. I'm wondering if that is his prediction at a potential Urshifu coming out here. Because if that's the case, something just like Icy Wind into Terra Starstorm here on turn 1 could be, pretty disastrous for Chloe, I think.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about leading Fluttermane from Sam's end is that Fluttermane doesn't need to get the Urshifu on lead to be effective. Like I was saying earlier, with the Lunala being a potential lead, if Fluttermane just taunts it, it really shuts down its options to play the game.
That is also very true, yeah.
So I think that might be what Sam is opting for.
Yeah, even something just like taunting the Incineroar to stop it from just pivoting around, I think is also pretty good. There's really a lot the taunt on Fluttermane can do here. And the other major thing here too, yeah, you're right. This is actually pretty safe for Sam, just to protect and try to taunt the Lunala, and then next turn he can start playing around with being a bit more aggressive. I do like this lead by Chloe though, because even if Sam does make the call here and protects Tropicos, goes for a taunt into Lunala, it is still a much more aggressive board state, right, where Lunala can kind of start setting up, while Incin's also just threatening knockoff into the Tropicos.
I think from Chloe's end, I still don't mind her position, because I think if you fake out and flick the Moongeist Beam into the Flutter Mane, you don't really lose anything.
I do
although
agree.
you get haunted, you're still in the driving seat. You get rid of one of their pieces, so Sam switches out the Flutter Mane in order to preserve it for later.
He probably did predict that the what's it called, the Moongeist Beam here was coming into that slot. Really good fake out there as well. The Moongeist Beam, you were correct here, going into the Incin here. So this is where it starts to get interesting, right? Because right now, like, the Incin on Sam's side is just putting a lot more pressure onto the Lunala right now than Sam is to the Tropicos, and thanks to the leftovers, it's got its Terra Shell back. So Sam right now can look to just start setting up here.
I think the main issue here is the Lunala is threatened by that knockoff. You lose your leftovers, and you would lose a significant amount of damage. So, are you going to Terra to preserve the Lunala's HP and then get hit with super effective attacks from this Terrapagos? Or are you going to risk it? And as we can see, we do not see a Terra from Lunala. Wow. We just see a Calm Mind.
That's a ballsy play, but also we did just see the Lunala go first, which means I think you are right. This is a speed tie between the Lunala and the Tropicos. I would be really curious to see what speed stats these guys are running.
Definitely.
Hopefully Sam can leak it at some point for us.
Maybe.
Yeah, this is where things start getting really interesting, right? Because again, Sam's in a position where he's not threatened here. Sam could easily right now opt for the, he could go for another Calm Mind if he wanted. He could set up a sub if he wanted. Where the Lunala right now is still threatened by that knockoff. And as you said, the second you click Terra Fairy on the Lunala, the Tropicos is going to start just dealing a lot of damage.
Okay.
Damn, opting for the Protect here too. Very interesting. Probably just wants to keep his leftovers intact here, would be my assumption.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And okay. And both players here just... Yeah.
Yeah, both parties opting to protect their Mon.
They both parting shot at the Incins.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question here is, who on Chloe's side is coming in to eat this?
If I was a betting man, I'd guess that the Wo-Chen is coming in here to provide that support that Lunala needs. Yeah. Very nice.
Correct. And one thing as well that is worth mentioning is, as we said, the Wo-Chen here is faster than the Tropicos and the Lunala, which means Lunala could likely go for the Terra Fairy and then start getting pollen puffed up once it starts losing HP.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's very interesting as well, because the Wo-Chan's healing can't be stopped by a taunt. So you've got sort of got a bit of a free. Ooh, very interesting.
Sorry, go.
Oh no, Sam is opting to target the Lunala, thinking that Wo-Chen probably not going to stay on the field. Incineroar comes in, and Lunala gets a free turn to sort of...
If Lunala attacks the Ogerpon right now, I actually really like this for Chloe. Because, yeah, that's not much damage at all. Tropicos does get the sub, and we see the speed interactions there again, going before the Lunala here. So, wow. And, okay, opting for another Calm Mind. This could be a case of all your friends are dead syndrome, and the question is who's going to get there first. Because there's a world now where Lunala just starts ripping through the Mon next to Tropicos.
Yeah. I think that can go for both parties, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it definitely can. Yeah. If Lunala goes down, or if, Sam's able to get through the supporting cast faster than Chloe can, then, yeah, all of a sudden it can be really dangerous. Because right now, I actually do worry a bit for Sam. If he's if he loses this Ogerpon, he might not have a way through this through this Wo-Chen fast enough, which would kind of just open up for Wo-Chen to just keep keep the Lunala full for like the whole game. And if its ability is like active, then Tropicos is going to struggle to get through it.
Very interesting that Sam opts for the... Ooh, okay.
These boys are greedy!
Yeah, Sam opts for the follow me instead of, Ooh, okay.
With the play, okay.
Very nice.
So this puts Sam in a really interesting position, right? Because now it's like, okay, yeah, you could attack here, right? But the issue is if you attack, then you're getting, Lunala could just protect here. It's got its ability back now. But also, too, a parting shot is pretty safe into Terapagos right now. So the question is Sam... He is offering it. Oh, hold on, actually. If he goes for the Terra here, Incin might go down early.
I believe, is this Terapagos +3?
I believe it is.
I think...
I believe they're both +3.
Yeah. Okay, it appears to be that Sam on this turn is going for the KO into the Lunala.
I don't think he KOs Lunala here. It's +3 as well.
Yeah, we get
this Ivy Cudgel has to crit. Which it doesn't.
Okay, doesn't do too much damage. Terra Starstorm into the Lunala.
If Chloe attacked the Ogerpon here, I think she's in a really solid position. And Incin just ate that. My goodness.
Yeah, beautiful.
Ooh,
another
greed
from the Lunala.
Greed is good. I mean, look, based on how little damage that just did. Oh, the taunt comes out.
And a taunt onto the Terapagos. I really like this play because...
So Sam... This goes back to what I was saying earlier as well about Sam now is kind of locked into his, potentially using up all his attacks. Like, because right now we're likely to see probably just a protect into a parting shot onto the Terapagos, right? And if Sam can continue to slow down this Terapagos right now, all of a sudden Chloe's position gets a lot stronger.
I think Incin would faint if it gets another Terra Starstorm, right?
I believe you're right. Oh no, Chloe! She needs to take out this Ogerpon so that the Wo-Chen can come in for free.
Come in and heal. I guess she was predicting an Incineroar switch in, maybe for the Ogerpon instead, or... Okay, the Incineroar goes down. Lunala is still relatively healthy, but...
So the question now is, Wo-Chen can come in and side Poland Puff, right? If Sam crits this, Ivy Cudgel, then there's a problem. Does Chloe read it and go for like a Protect and a Snarl, potentially? Because I don't think Sam ever Ivy Cudgels the Wo-Chen here. If it does come in, that is. Oh, and it is the Urshi.
Ooh, very interesting.
I really like this because now it's saying, all right, you got to make a call. And Urshi should be the second fastest thing on this board, if not the fastest. So Sam, so if Chloe right now protects and CCs or even doubles the Terapagos, Sam could be in trouble.
Double the Terapagos here. Like, I don't
think
I think the Moonblast was to set up Urshifu to get the close combat in, and then... Okay, this may come down to a speed tie. We've got a close combat, most likely going into the Terapagos. We have Incineroar to lower the attack. Will a double up be enough, and will Lunala outspeed this Terapagos? I do not know.
Oh, and he's detected!
From the Urshifu.
Wait, did he double protect both Mons? Sorry, she? Okay. The speed tie was won by the Pagos here. This is going to be really interesting to see what happens.
Okay, not wanting to take the risk there.
Lunala, I think, is good to live this. And no, it's not. It's a crit.
No.
It's a crit. No.
Sam is really happy with his decision to fly to Sydney. To play in the Cubs there. He's getting crits with crits. It's very rough when you have a protect the president type team, because you're very susceptible to critical hits.
Yeah,
Urshifu
and now
goes for the double protect, does not get it. Fake out into the Urshifu. Snarl from the Wo-Chen. Okay, misses the Incineroar. Will this lower it enough so that Terapagos survives?
No. I don't think so. This is still +2, maybe +3.
Maybe Earth has some bulk.
Oh, it does. Okay.
It does. It just brings it into range.
Oh, no, because even...
I do see a win con here. I see a win con here.
Is there a world where Snarl Protect into side Poland gets it done?
No. I reckon you got to go for the critical hit. You go for the Pollen Puff, and you cray. Close combat, critical hit, the Terrapagos. I think that's...
Get your payback.
Yeah, close combat, critical hit into the Terrapagos, Pollen Puff, and I think Chloe can still bring it back. I believe in the vision. I believe in it.
Look, when there's a will, there's a way, okay? Okay, so I'm assuming here Chloe will go for the Snarl play.
Maybe for the Ruination.
The Ruination, hold on! Hold on!
We don't need critical hits, we do consistency, we love this. Alrighty. How will
the issue here, though, is this is likely just a parting shot back into the Ogerpon, which would spell disaster here for Chloe.
We'll see what the Incineroar locked in.
What's going for knock?
Being knocked off. Chloe keeping her composure during these times of crisis, coming up with a unique play that brings her back into this game.
You might be right. There might be a chance here. Side Pollen Pluff and CC probably gets it done. Oh, no way. Okay, Sam is running a very physically defensive Terrapagos.
Jesus Christ.
And with that, yeah, I don't think the Pollen Puff will be enough to keep it alive, especially at -1 here.
Is just -1?
Yeah.
That was absurd.
Yeah.
Really goes to show how defensive training can really bring some...
And Sam gets crit again.
Oh my god, Chloe got crit.
I think Chloe got quit twice in both games. And look, when you're running like a screens protect the president type strategy, the last thing you want to see is crits. And yeah, it's rough. But
it's your worst nightmare.
Look, GG's there to Sam. I think he did play that incredibly well, just making sure the Terrapagos was, as safe as it could be, a lot there. I will say, I think the one big mistake Chloe made was probably not taking out the Ogerpon earlier. I think had Chloe got to an endgame where Ogerpon was gone, Wo Chen comes in earlier, like before Lunala took any of that damage, and then all of a sudden that's where you start looking at the side Pollen Puffs, the Snarls, and all of a sudden the Wo Chen could have been utilized a lot better to, one, keep Lunala alive, but also two, just take the pressure like off the board, right? Just start snarling that Terrapagos down. Yeah, sure, its special defense is going to be high, but as long as you start getting its special attack stat down, it's just not going to be doing enough. So I do think that was the one big mistake I think Chloe made. Was there was 2 times where I believe she clicked Calm Mind, like she went to +2, and then I think she finished at +4. I think getting it to +2 and then taking out Ogerpon maybe was the better play, because then you get the, that's when you can get the Wo Chen back in. You can say, okay, now I'm going to catch up on those Calm Minds, and then you start, you just start alternating Snarl into Pollen Puff, Snarl, Pollen Puff, and all of a sudden you get Lunala back to, a healthy HP, you catch it up on those stat buffs, and then, all of a sudden I think the end game could have been a lot different.
Yeah, I think an important thing to note as well is, with the 2 other mods that Sam had, he could not protect with the Incineroar, and he could not protect with the Fluttermane. So once you remove the Ogerpon, you stop any sort of stalling, and you can slowly start picking off of the other pieces and position yourself in a way to win the game.
Exactly.
I do really agree with picking off the Ogerpon a bit earlier. I presume maybe Chloe was assuming that Ogerpon would switch out there, but as you can see from Sam's play, even when taunted, he did not switch out the Ogerpon. He wanted to keep that offense going, and it goes to show that sometimes you need to make sure that you punish players when they don't make defensive plays like that.
Yeah, and look, Sam, he definitely played that endgame well, right? Because it even got to a situation where, he got taunted on his instant, and I think a lot of people would just predict in that situation, he's going to just, try to switch it out, right? Reset, the fake out, reset the parting shot. He just said, no, I'm just going to just knock everything off on your whole team. He's like, I'm going to take your AV, I'm going to take your leftovers, I'm going to take your Mystic Water. It was just, he kind of just, I think he knew as well, like, I think once he got that Lunala to low HP, his game plan was, it was pretty set. It was just, let's just win the damage trades here. I've still got a Terrapagos that's, +3. I've always got the option for sub that they have to respect. So, yeah, he was able kind of just to put the pressure on at the end there, and yeah, just get through the Lunala.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, very interesting game overall. I think we'll probably be seeing a bit more of both of them, maybe later in the day. Potentially, we get to see them for a rematch later on, and we'll see if Chloe has learnt anything from the matchup and, can adapt from there.
Yeah, look, it would definitely be interesting to see them run it back because I'm sure Chloe realized as well towards the end of that second game, potentially what she could have done better to, maybe make the matchup a little bit more in her favor.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And also, to be fair to Chloe, we'd love to see a game without critical hits.
Yes, that's also very true.
Yeah,
Sam got a lot of
game.
timely crits in that set there. Obviously, 2 crits in game 1, 2 crits in game 2. It's never fun to see. Obviously, I don't think the crit on Urshi at the very end matters at all. The Urshi was -1, and based off that first Terra Starstorm, I'm pretty confident that even without -1 or without the crit, it was probably going down. But look, you never know, right? It's Sam had 4 big crits in that set. I don't think Chloe got any. If Chloe crits the Tropicos at the end there, that game potentially could have been different. I'm not sure if it would have been. I don't know if the Wochen had the damage to get through the Flutter Mane and whatnot in the back, but of course there's always the potential of maybe there is a world where she does. Maybe a Snarl, maybe 2 Snarls and a double protect is enough to get the special attack low enough where Urshifu potentially lives one. Kai has also said round 3 pairings will be up shortly. If that's the case, Dib, I might quickly go get me some more water, and we will be back for round 3.
Yeah, very nice.
You can keep talking, of course.
Alrighty,
just hold down
I'll
the fort
be
till I'm back.
still here. Hope everyone's enjoying the stream so far. I believe this is my first commentary gig for... Oh, I may have done one earlier, but it's one of my first commentary gigs. I think it's a lot of fun, especially being able to, show some of the, teams that are developing in this meta. I think everyone's excited for the regional coming up in Brisbane, and also we have EUIC to look out for. I'm not sure if anyone in the audience is going to EUIC, but it'll be exciting to play and also exciting to watch. Alrighty. We got the Miraidon flying around now. Where are we going to, Kai? What do you reckon? The biomes. I think we'll be flying around for a little bit before we get into our next game. Curious to see what other teams we'll see in this format. In this tournament, we've seen some very interesting things. We've seen Miraidon, we've seen Zamazenta, we've seen Terapagos, and we have seen Lunala. We have not seen either of the Calyraxes, which are very dominant restricted usually. So will be interesting to see where we can go from here. We have Koraidon potentially on the rise. We have Kali Ice, and of course, my old favorite, Kali Shadow. Yeah, it will be interesting to see what restrictors we can see from here, and how these players have adapted them to suit their playstyles. Could potentially also see some Groudon. I'm not sure if the New South Wales player base is a fan of the missing moves, but I don't think I've ever played with Groudon before. I think it's an interesting one. I think the sleep powder stuff is cool, but I'm more of a sleep powder on Vivillon than sleep powder on a regular accuracy move. Alrighty. Kai just kicked a Pokemon and then ran off. He's didn't want to faint it today. Just thought that'll be enough. Kai, what shiny are you gonna find? Are you gonna go shiny hunting now? There's gotta be some. Oh. He's beating up these. What are they? Miniors, I believe. Very nice. This is quality gameplay. I'll forever love the Australia Post name for this Dragonite. Very cool.
I'm back. What have I missed?
Some riveting Miniors being fainted. I was just having a discussion earlier about what potentially we might see restricted wise, but yeah.
I mean, look, we get to see a Calyrax, which I do think is something I would like to see. What else? We haven't seen any Sun yet. No Koraidons or Miraidons. No Kyogres. So there's still obviously, quite a bit of room. We have seen 4, unique restricted so far. So yeah, I really hope we get something new in the next set. Wouldn't mind to see, a bit more Miraidon. We are doing Patrick versus Sky, I have been told.
Lovely. Let's see what they have.
Do you have any insider information on what either of them are running, or?
I can't say that I do have any insider information on either of them. I do know that Sky is a very strong opponent, so Patrick will need to be careful. But yeah, I'm curious to see where they have taken, what team that they've adapted and used, and what restricted as, piqued their interest.
Yeah, and look, I think that's one of the interesting things about this format, right? Is I think it feels really different only having that one restricted, right? And obviously, I think we're assuming that come Regulation I, we'll be running the double restricteds, but I think it's a different format, right? It's the restricted means so much right now that there are some matchups that just become really hard or really easy because of the restricted you've picked.
Yes, definitely. I think it's going to be interesting to see what those secondary restricted mons are going to be. I think it's very easy to slap on like a, Zamazenta, Kali Shadow,
Miraidon even as well.
Miraidon, a Kyogre for defensive, setting up the rain.
I think Zacian is going to play a very big role in double restricted as well.
I think, yeah, it definitely has a lot of potential. I think the thing is, when a restricted gets shut down by non-restricted mons, it feels a bit weak. However, when you have 2 restricted mons, it gives you a bit more flexibility to run, for example, that Ogre Sword combination. In the past.
That's a great example, right? Because Incin is a mon that can come in, it can, get the Intimidate out onto the Zacian, it can, fake it out, pivot around with, partying shots. But, all of a sudden you get into the wrong board state with a Water Spout Kyogre on the board, and it's like, okay, now my Incin doesn't feel as scary anymore, Yeah. So it's going to be really interesting. I will say as well, something, it might be worth mentioning, because I don't know if everyone knows it, but the Melbourne Regional was announced today. And obviously, this is an Australian VGC event. So, if you guys didn't know, I think it's is it the second weekend of May? I think it's 16th, 17th.
May. Let me have a look on my calendar.
I'm pretty sure it's the 16th of May. So 17th, 18th, 17th, 18th.
So 17th, 18th of May. Very exciting. I'm happy it's not Adelaide.
Yeah, well, I think we all are.
To the Adelaide people at home, I meant that offensively. No,
there's no Adelaide
I want to save money on travel. That's the only thing.
Stop lying.
I was gonna say I have some friends in Adelaide, but my friend moved back to Melbourne, so yeah, no, I can't
so
even say
you
that.
no longer do now.
No, I have no need to go to Adelaide. Love to the Adelaide people.
I will say one of the cool things as well about Melbourne being on those dates is we could be one of the first events of Regulation I, which is really, really cool.
Ooh, that's very exciting.
So it's going to be a very new format. It's going to be a crazy format. The metagame will have not had much time at all to develop. So it's going to be awesome to see what people run, and hopefully we can get a stream for it. But,
Australia, not known for innovating, will be forced to innovate for the first time.
For the first time ever.
Very interesting.
Look, we do have the teams here, and it looks like Sky is running. I believe that's the Tang team, right?
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong here. I believe that is the Tang Gang team. Yeah. So, going to be really curious here to see if Patrick is familiar with the EV spreads. As someone who has tested that team, I know it quite well. I do know that this is a slower, bulkier Landorus. We do know that this Calyrex has a little bit of speed in it. The Roaring Moon also isn't like crazy fast, but obviously it is a speed booster here. But yeah, look, this is going to be really interesting. This is kind of, as you said, right, this is a protect the president type strategy here with the Cali Shadow. And then the Cali Ice. Do you want to run through either of the teams here?
All right, I'll run through the Cali Shadow team. Very interesting choice with the Terra Bug, Life Orb, Pollen Puff. Cali Shadow seems to be a direct counter into the, I guess, the psychic redirection, like, the Indeedis and the Farigaraths of the world, as well as a counter into Terra Dark Calyrex. So I find that very interesting. We've got a typical Ogerpon Cornerstone. We have the filthy combo of Dondozo Tinglu with Yawn, Sandtomb, Body Press on the Dondozo, and we also have Taunt on the Tinglu. We have Mian Gao for support against for support to the Cali Shadow, and we also have a Clefairy with Encore. Very interesting move choice to have Encore on a slow mon, but I think this could pay dividends.
Yeah, and look, I will say as well, like, just looking at this here, like, as a Miraidon enjoyer, Ting Dozo can be, like, super annoying. I just don't know if I see value for it in this set. Like, I'm looking at this, and I'm just not too sure. They are going to lead with the Dondozo here. So maybe there's something they're seeing that I'm not, but, it's going to be really interesting to see how they do this. Obviously, Patrick here can just start putting out Yawns. Neither of these mods really put that much pressure onto the Ogerpon here. Onto the Dondozo. So the question really is Chloe going to be able to pick up that Ogerpon right now? Because that's probably the big question. Like, I feel like Tailwind, Terra Water, Ivy Cudgel is pretty free. But of course, then you opt to not have Terra in the back for your Calyrex. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this is played.
Definitely. Alrighty. It seems like Dondozo is a pretty good pick into the Cali Ice and the Urshifu of the team.
Especially with Oblivious, yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty. Patrick seems to be going for a very stally, slow sort of strategy. Dondozo's not going to die anytime soon, especially next to this Clefairy. Yawn into the Urshifu gets blocked by Detect, and Dondozo loses its leftovers for free.
I think that was a really good turn for Chloe there. Basically, everything she could have wanted went in her... Sorry, not Chloe, it's the Sky. Everything Sky could have wanted, worked in her favor there. So, yeah, that was really, really good. So, the question now, though, is how does Pat here put pressure on this board, right? Because, yeah, of course, you can body press into the Roaring Moon. You can keep putting out the... oh, wow, okay. And Patrick's going to go for it. I think this picks up the Roaring Moon here, doesn't it?
A body press, potentially.
No Eviolite, though. Roaring Moon getting a lot of value here. Oh, no, that Clef's just going to go down to this Surging without the Eviolite.
Yeah,
wow, okay.
The knockoff Surging, a very good play into this Clefairy, making sure it doesn't get to stick around much at all.
I will say here, though, if this body press picks up, this is really big for Patrick. Okay, because if the Roaring Moon goes down there, then the best answer to the Cali Shadow in the back is down. So the fact that that doesn't go down, I think, is incredibly good here for Sky. So the big question now is, at what point do we see the Tailwind? And it does look like Sky's going to go for it now. Yeah, and there it is too, the Terra Water Surging Strikes. This should be enough to take out the Ogerpon. Sky's in a very, very commanding situation here.
Yeah.
It really just feels like right now that this Dondozo is just not doing enough on the board. Like, a Helping Hand Body Press, only doing about 60% to that Roaring Moon. I think it's kind of all you really need to know about the current game right now. It's just, Sky is just putting on so much pressure. Just knocking off the lefties, knocking off the Eviolite, just incredibly powerful.
Yeah, very dominant performance from Sky at the moment. And I think, as you can see, Sky has a very good understanding of the board state and where we are, most likely the Pokemon in the back, you would assume is Calyrex Shadow. So if you Tailwind Surging, you get one turn to kill this Ogerpon, and then next turn you get to kill the Calyrex, and you get to play the game from there. And if it's a 4v1 against the Dondozo, you're pretty comfortable that you'll be able to take it on.
Yeah, and look, this is just... It's starting to feel really, really scary because, like, at this stage, right, you just go for the Terra Water Surging Strikes into the Calyrex. You say, hey, I'm going to deal my, 60, 70, whatever, percent damage to this. And then you kind of just got to live with it from there because, honestly, I don't even know if this Dondozo picks up without a helping hand into the Roaring Moon right now. So protecting maybe isn't even the best play. Yeah, it honestly feels kind of rough right now. Yeah, and battle was cancelled. I think Pat knew he was really far behind there. Really, really dominant by Sky there. That was an incredible performance. Just turn 1 calling the Yawn, turn 2 obviously, taking out the Clef with the knock into Surging. Incredibly dominant there.
Yeah, Sky is a very dominant player, and as they have shown, they really took control of this match. I think I would have liked to see Patrick have used the Yawn on Dondozo a bit more effectively. I believe what happened there was Patrick was assuming that Body Press would do a lot more damage into the Roaring Moon than it did, and it put him in a poor situation for the end game. So,
yeah, like, I agree, because I actually thought a Helping Hand Body Press was going to pick up a Roaring Moon. That one is not known for having the best physical defense, and the fact that Helping Hand Body Press did like 60 just shows that it's probably not a 2-shot without Helping Hand, right? So, like, I don't know. I think, looking back at that now, I think Patrick's probably going to regret that Dondozo bring. Obviously, as a defensive pivot, it's fantastic, right? It can switch in and eat hits, but it really just did not put the pressure on the board that I think Patrick needed.
I think, especially with a team like this, where everything's max defense, Body Press won't be doing the damage that you want. So if you wish to bring the Dondozo, you need to use it for its niche of using Yawn. You can Yawn, position yourself into a state where you can get Calyrex Shadow in, and then play the game from there. I think Yawning into the Urshifu is probably pretty safe. Interesting thing to note, with this Calyrex Shadow being Terra Bug, I believe that Roaring Moon can hit it super effectively, regardless of Terra or not.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't Terra, we can knock it off. If it Terra bugs, you can click Acrobatics, and I would believe that's a dead Calyrex.
It looks like Sky is actually opting to leave the Calyrex at home here as well. Which is very, very interesting. Yeah. If she locks this in,
I think against Calyrex Shadow players,
it's honestly it's not bad. Yeah.
Play. Yeah, I think Sky was pretty comfortable with the tools that they had to win the game. So I think as long as you make sure that everything's faster than the Calyrex Shadow in Tailwind's a very good option, and you can take the win from there.
Yeah, and look, the munch that that Sky is bringing here, they're all kind of restricted, right? Like Ogerpon, Urshifu, like, let's be real, they're pseudo restricted Pokemon. But yeah, look, the big question I guess I have right now is, does this Urshifu have enough bulk to live the Calyrex Astral Barrage right now? Like, is the knockoff Surging play into Clefairy free here? Or, is... Actually, in saying that, the Helping Hand here is probably the scariest thing, right? Helping Hand Astral Barrage, you would think, puts enough pressure onto the Urshifu here.
You would like to think that the Calyrex on their end can survive a Terra Water, Mystic Water Surging. Now that
with Friend Guard, with Friend Guard, I think that's pretty comfortable. The question is... So obviously we know Sky locked in here with the Tailwind. I think that the deciding factor right now, honestly, is going to be, like, one, was this a Helping Hand Astral Barrage, or was it just a redirection Astral Barrage? Because, yeah, this doesn't feel the greatest. This is probably going to be Terra Dragon here, so it is going to resist the Surging Strikes. Also, you know, no Dragon Brew on Roaring Moon to really punish it. So I don't hate this here for Patrick. The question is just going to be how much damage does Astral Barrage do right now? Because I think Patrick really needs to pick up this Urshi here, but I kind of don't think it's going to get it.
I don't think it'll be enough without the helping hand.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe
look, this is life
get
orb.
into a position where he can KO both the next turn.
Yeah. And look, that would also work as well, right? Because we're in a situation where Roaring Moon's the fastest mod on the board. It really can't... Oh, and the Polar Puff comes out. Oh, and it doesn't pick up? Wow, okay.
Very interesting play from Patrick. I sort of like it. You've now positioned Clefairy to... You've now positioned the two Mons to be KO'd by Astral Barrage. Sorry, what were you saying?
I was going to say, I actually really like this here from Sky, because going for the Protect means you keep Urshi at full HP, and knocking off this Clef here means that whatever comes in should be able to pick up the KO. So I would like to think that after the knockoff, the Ogerpon can come in, clean this up, which just means that Urshi can keep putting the pressure onto the Calyrex slot. But the big question here really is going to be, can the Sky get to the Calyrex in time? Because we don't know what's in the back here, because if Clef does go down next turn, which, you know, we're kind of expecting it to, what is the Mon that's going to come in and sit next to it? Is it going to be the Mienshao, you know? Is it going to be the Ogerpon Rock again? Is Tingle or Dondozo coming in?
I think an important thing to pay attention to is what Mon comes in next to the Roaring Moon. Because if a Mon that's faster than Urshifu comes in, KOs the Clefairy, Calyrex Shadow's going down without a doubt.
Yeah, and both of them are faster and both threaten the one-shot.
So we're checking the speeds on the Urshifu.
Okay, 125, 133.
There you go.
Okay.
Both Mons are faster. I think it's pretty free to switch in the Landorus, click Earth Power, Surging, and take a KO on both.
Yeah, I think I agree. Sky's in a really, really good position right now. I guess the big question here is, does Patrick have a way to stall this out? Like, is there a Dondozo coming in to eat a Surging Strikes right now? Like, that to me is the big question, because you could try to stall this out. You could go Protect on the Clef, try to bring in a Dondozo to just eat the Surging Strikes. It's going to be really interesting here, because I do think if Patrick can stall out the Tailwind here, then all of a sudden they're in a... Okay, they're going to go for it. Because, yeah, if they stall this out, I think they're in a way better position. And there is the Dondozo. Yeah. The question is there a pivot for the Clef? No, okay.
Clefairy protects. I think
this is the right play. If Surging goes into the right slot, it feels really good.
Yeah. I think potentially that was a bit of an opportunity for Sky to push the tempo a bit more, because, yeah, as we can see, Surging isn't going to do too much to the Dondozo.
And now, yeah, the Yawn pressure can really start coming out now. So I think all of a sudden, I actually think Patrick's in a really good position, because I think there's only 2 turns left of Tailwind here. Dozo hasn't been knocked off, and Urshi really isn't putting that much pressure on the board anymore. So it's the last turn of Tailwind, okay. So, yeah, all of a sudden, this starts to feel really dangerous for Sky now, because I think if Patrick's able to protect this Calyrex, there is a good chance it's going to be able to come in and just start putting a lot of pressure on this board state.
Definitely. I think we needed to see a double target into the Calyrex, considering that Clefairy probably can't do too much damage to either Mon.
The Dondozo, if this is a wave crash into Landorus right now, this is looking really good. Yeah, because Clef knew what was going down there. There was no point in really going for anything else. If a wave crash picks up Landorus right now, all of a sudden Patrick's in a really good position. And he's going to go for it, okay. So now I believe Sky's last piece here was the Ogerpon. But the issue again is now Calyrex is pretty strong on this board now. It outspeeds both Mons. Like, yeah, I'm sure it dies to a Surging Strikes right now. But the issue is as well is the Urshifu is the slowest Mon on Sky's side of the board. So Ogerpon's going to have to attack first, if not redirect. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this endgame goes here.
Definitely.
Because we also don't know Sky's last piece. Sky could potentially have a an Ogerpon Hearthflame in the back, which threatens a one-shot on both pieces here, and should outspeed both as well.
Yeah, definitely. Seems like Patrick has really turned it around with that switch into the Dondozo, yes.
Yeah,
was that a spiky shield from?
Yeah, spiky and attack into the Calyrax is what Sky's locked in here. I think, look, the question right now is, does the Urshi live? If Urshi can hold and get off a Surging Strikes here, there is a chance. Ooh, okay.
Interesting.
Patrick, or into Ting Lu. I believe this is Helmet Ting Lu as well, actually. The question is, can it live this?
Very interesting.
Oh, this endgame's going to be really interesting because I don't know if Ogerpon can KO at this range into the Cali without a crit, and this chip is going to be enough that Urshifu is just always dead.
Yeah, definitely. And not opting for the Aqua Jet on this Urshifu means you can't get an attack off before the Calyrax does, meaning Urshifu's pretty much doomed to faint.
Yeah, the Urshi's only hope here is a Protect and an Ivy Cudgel crit, I think. But the Spiky Shield chip there will be really good for Dondozo. Yeah, look, this game's not over by any means. This comes down to the trainers' spreads and, you know, how much damage they can do to each other. I don't think Ogerpon here is going down to 1 Astral Barrage, which means the question is, will Calyrax go down to 1 Ivy Cudgel? Because that's kind of the trade-off here. I think this is pretty free for Patrick just to go Astral Barrage. You fire off a Wave Crash here into the Ogerpon and you kind of pray. And I think on Sky's side, Sky's going to lock in.
Ooh, okay.
Wow,
Sky
not going for the
double attack, trying to make a read that potentially Calyrax would protect or not pick up the KO. Urshifu goes down, and now we get to see, does Ogerpon do enough damage to pick up this Calyrax?
I think without a crit, it's going to struggle because we know what this spread is. This is like max max defense.
Ooh,
but you get
and
the crit.
Critical hit!
Oh,
that is
no.
massive!
I think the Wave Crash is going to be enough though, right?
We'll have to see. Oh my goodness! Ogerpon lives on 4 HP. The Wave Crash is not enough. With Horn Leech for recovery, we could see a game.
No, this is Power Whip, dude.
Power Whip. Even more damage.
You've got to think a Protect comes out.
Yeah, a Protect.
I think 15% of the time, Sky loses this.
I think very smart play from Patrick to make sure that he protects in case a Spiky Shield comes. He wants a bit more leftovers recovery. I think from Patrick's end, he's always going for the Yawn here.
Yeah, I think it's always safest to Yawn and Protect.
This Power Whip
will come out, and it's enough. What an endgame, wow. Sky made such an aggressive read, just not protecting on the Urshifu there. Kind of got punished for it, but then Ivy Cudgel just... It does what Ivy Cudgel does, it crits, and Sky gets the blow.
I think what we wanted to see from Patrick there was the Yawn. Since you can play the game at your pace, once you Yawn it, you can protect to stall out the Yawn on the Ogerpon Heartflame, put it to sleep, and kill it at your own pace. I think...
I do agree. Yeah. But I also thought Wave Crash was killing. That was like less than 1/3 HP on that Ogerpon, and it did not pick up. I believe it had 55, and it did 51 damage. So
yeah, it just goes to show without his little buddy Tatsugiri, Dondozo cannot do the damage it needs. Body Press was underwhelming. Wave Crash was underwhelming. I think, it goes back to what we were referring to Game 1, where I believe the reason why you use a solo Dondozo is for that Yawn, is for that Oblivious, so you cannot be taunted when you click Yawn. I think it is the best yawning Pokemon in the format. I think that was just a little bit underutilized in this game, but I think very well played from Sky. 4 HP is, potentially a roll, we don't know, but Patrick did come up with a really unique game plan for Game 2, and he almost got rewarded for it.
Yeah, honestly, we call that the gold spreads. Just Ogerpon living on 4 HP, you know, didn't miss its Power Whip 2, which was like really, really good. Just, yeah, really, really well played there by Sky. And look, I'm not going to lie, I thought that aggressive play, going for the attack on Urshi was kind of crazy, but like it worked out so well.
Which attack on Urshifu?
When Urshi attacked and ate the Astral Barrage instead of protecting.
Yeah, I guess Sky was really covering for the protect there. In case he tried to play a slow game, which was interesting. It didn't turn out that way, but with Ogerpon getting the crit, he still got himself into a position to win.
Very, very well played there. I just can't believe the Ogerpon lived the Astral and the Wave Crash.
Yeah, that's who do you blame? Do you blame do you blame the Dundozo or do you blame the Calyrex, you know? Calyrex should have done more.
Nah, you blame Dondozo. Fuck that guy, yeah. Fuck that guy.
Hello, everyone. We need to pay a bit more attention to the chat. How we all doing? Beautiful people. Yeah, perfect. Wish I could have been there. My Zam team is very strong. Hello. Hello, Pokey Physio. You can't see us, but I'm waving. It's good to see you, brother. Sorry, I thought I was kept paying attention to the chat, but it got it got stuck at the top, and I'm like, oh, no one's messaging. I was like, that's a bit rude.
Nah, Dim's out here just griefing, man.
Yeah. Love you too, King. God bless you. How are we doing today? Are you still on Zamazenta? Zamazenta's a very strong pick, I think. Yeah, I was on Zamazenta for a good month and a half. That's all I can say. I think I've moved on from it now. What have you been testing with, Mr. Scutezi?
What have I been testing with?
What restricted? If you don't want to go into detail, we can discuss lightly what we're interested in at the moment.
My goal heading into Brisbane is to test out the restricteds I think are good. Yeah. And they are Miraidon, both Calyrex forms, Koraidon, and Kyogre. So they are the 5 Pokemon kind of on my list of monster test. I was on Groudon for a little bit, but Precipice Blade's missing it's the worst thing ever. Like man, like I don't know if you've ever been in like an endgame where you have this mon and then it's like misses like 2 P-Blades, but it's rough. Like I lost an endgame once where I had Tailwind, it was a 1-on-1, Groudon vs Miraidon, and I missed 2 Precipice Blades and they hit 2 Draco Meteors, and I was like, that's a fun game. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, I don't know. For me, I'm kind of just testing everything right now. Like obviously we're Brisbane. I think we're like 7 weeks away still. So I'm still plenty of time right now. So for me, it's just kind of testing everything, right? I was really enjoying Koraidon. I was playing a bit of Scale Shot Koraidon, and I actually think that had like a really good matchup. But then I noticed Zamazentas were like kind of dropping off. So like it made me like a little less inclined to want to play it. Because like the team I had with like Fluttermane and Scale Shot was like really good at pinning a lot of Zamazentas, especially with Chiyu as well. Like most of the time they want to go for things like Terra Dragon, so like Overheat and a Scale Shot would almost always pick up. As a matter of fact, I think it did. You just had to hit both moves, but
yeah, I must say the Koraidon adaptation to run the Scale Shot it's very interesting, because I was for the longest time my counter to Koraidon was just setting up the rain, and as a Calyrex Shadow player, if you set up the rain, Koraidon shouldn't be able to hit you. But now with the Scale Shot, it can hit your pieces for, you know,
good damage,
good damage, and it's and it also still gets that speed control to outspeed those threats. So I think, I actually at first I sort of laughed at the adaptation. I didn't like it, but I think with Incineroar dropping down as well in usage, it really works in this current meta.
You know, look, I definitely do agree, and look, even when you play up against something like Incin, the fact that you can still deal like a good 60% to the special defensive variants is like very nice. Like I've had a lot of Incin switch in on a scale shot and just like take a ridiculous amount of damage.
Yeah, definitely. It's
also a really
one of those
nice
things
middle ground play as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
You'll never
safe,
be
right?
upset for clicking. Yeah, you won't be upset for clicking that into anybody. Old mate Pokey Physio is like, I finally added an Urshifu to my team after not feeling it fit, and damn, it is busted to hit through protect. It is a very it's a ridiculous amount. Yeah, just especially when you start adding multipliers as well, like, you know, you can run it in a rain team, you can run it with Mystic Water, you can run it with Shempow, and that's just the water Urshifu. You know, you can have Dark Urshifu with all those multipliers as well, apart from obviously we don't have Dark Aura. Is that what the Evental's ability is? Is it Dark?
I think it was Dark Aura.
Yeah, Dark Aura.
The other one was Fairy Aura, so
yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, I sort of find it interesting that Black Glass's Urshifu hasn't really seen much play as of yet, because oh, yep, sorry.
So I was gonna say, I think Water is just a far better defensive typing than Dark, and that's probably why.
Yeah. I guess that makes a lot of sense, because it's sort of like with Urshifu, a lot of the times you're not really forced to Terra instead of unless you're in front of one of those fairy types or flying type that might do that sort of damage into you, and being able to terrestrialize into a type that you already are to get that double stab is really nasty. Whereas with like a Dark Urshifu, I think as well, because Zamazenta is so popular, you don't want to be Terra Darking, because then you can still get Moonblast, you can still get Body Press, you can still... And it also just loses to the mirror.
Yeah. And look, I think another thing as well that's important is, like, a lot of the time when you look at, like, Calyrax's Terras, for example, Calyrax Shadow here, it wants something like Terra Fairy or Terra Dark. If you try to hit that with a Wicked Blow, you're doing like nothing to it, right? Where a Terra Water, Mystic Water is, like, again, if you're pairing with Tornadus, Champow, whatever, you're just gonna pick it up, right? You're gonna one-shot it, unless it has something like, a Friend Guard next to it. So I think right now, Water is just a lot easier to use than the Dark variant, and I think that's kind of a big reason why. Dark definitely still has its place in the metagame. Like, I'm a huge fan of it. I have played it quite a bit. But I definitely think the Water variant is just much more splashable, and that's kind of the main thing.
I think one thing that's interesting as well, because when people think about the like counters for some of the restricteds, for example, Dark Urshifu for the longest time was considered a really good counter into Calyrax Shadow, and also Dark Urshifu into the Calyrax Ice seems like a really good counter. But if you had the Urshifu Water plus speed control into either of the two, it seems like Urshifu Water does well into Cali Ice because it resists the hits. And with the Cali Shadow, a lot of them are running Terra Fairy at the moment, which wall the, the
Dark Shifus.
Dark Urshifus, and makes the life a little bit miserable.
Yeah, I thought I recognized the voice of the chatter. Hot. That is Dim the Sim Guy's second place at Perth Regionals.
Mate, they could be referring to you, mate. I don't think...
Me? Nah, no chance.
No, look, maybe
no one knows my voice. Don't be silly.
We appreciate the love and support. Bless you.
I just want to say, too, I believe that match was actually a 1-1. That wasn't the 2-0 table as well. I'm just looking at the stream here. Mr. Scooteezy. Who the fuck's Scooteezy?
See, there you go. The fan club of Scooteezy. They come. They're rating our commentary stream.
Mate, look, we're just here to practice. Maybe I should have fucking put it in my Discord or something. But hello, welcome. Thank you for recognizing my voice.
Well, yeah, I think so far we've done pretty well. Well, I think we've covered the game. I think the first match was a bit iffy, because obviously the delay in the the stream, the 10-second
Yeah,
delay is not
look,
that enjoyable to watch. But
that was harder, I would say. Even just casting it because you're trying to think ahead and you don't know when moves are getting locked in, and
mm,
you say something and then it's like, oh, is he gonna click this? And the viewer's like watching him just like lock in Glacial Lance or something. So
yeah, it looked a bit clunky, but that'll be fixed up in post production, and well, it'll look good for YouTube. That's all that matters.
exactly, and look, that's what we want. Kai's also said the pairings are up in a minute, so hopefully we get some sick games here. Obviously, yeah, we've had some pretty good ones so far. We had Matt won round 1, Sam 2, and now Sky winning round 3. So yeah, so far so good. We've had some pretty good games. Definitely excited to see what comes up next. I will say though, I like Kai's setup at the local here. He's got the telly. Is that for like the people at the local to watch the games better, or?
I'm not too sure. I guess we can see for the next match.
Yeah.
If that's what it's for. Oh, we're transitioning back into the. What's that in front of it? That's a fletchling, isn't it? In front of Sky's character.
Yeah. Is that a shiny fletchling?
I don't think so.
I don't know. Like the color, it's not actually that different. Looking at it in Twitch, it kind of looks shiny. In Discord, it doesn't.
I was going to say, I heavily dislike the fact that I know that there's some sort of reason that, it's a reverse of the color palette, but I dislike that the colors for some shiny mons are just so similar.
So, yes, you're correct. There's like a formula that fucking does it. I don't know how it works, but it's like, this is the color. There's a formula that like fucking flips it.
AI's fault.
Dude, seriously? Look at fucking Gengar, right? Tell me why normal Gengar and Mega Gengar have such different shinies. Even G-Max Gengar, why is it so different? It actually annoys me. Because I think Mega Gengar and G-Max Gengar have some of the best shinies in the game. And then you just have regular Gengar that's like fucking Garchomp, where it's like, oh yeah, well, it's a slightly different shade. And like, the issue with Garchomp as well is Gible, like, while its shiny doesn't change much, is actually sick. But then Garchomp just gets absolutely screwed over.
Definitely. I don't know what they're thinking. I think Kai replied to our thing, by the way. He said they have a proper projector at the end of the room.
So what he said. He said he has a massive projector.
Christian top 8 at Perth versus Jared.
We are familiar with Christian's game.
I think so funny story about Christian. I believe he was in top 8 for Perth, and from my understanding, him and Harry did some calculations, and they thought that he would be versing against me. So they were running some practice, matchup and prep and like stuff into me. They found out that they were not playing me; they were playing Joji.
Unfortunately for them, they could have come to me and I could have told them who they were playing, but
I believe that's Christian. I could be wrong, and if I am, I apologize.
No, it is Christian. Harry told me.
Yeah, very, very strong opponent from what I have seen of late. Should be really
curious
to
see what they're both running here, because didn't he had a really good performance recently with a pretty unique team, didn't he? I want to say it was like Kyogre or something, but I feel like I'm blanking.
Yeah.
It was all I remember was he had a really cool team.
Yeah.
Damn, now I want to see it. Come on, Kai.
Yeah, show us the thing. Show us the base. We want to see it.
I will say it does suck that we can't put the teams on the screen for the guys to watch. But look, this is Kai's stream, man. He's the streamer, man. He'll show us when it's ready.
I was gonna say if we're crazy with it, you did one team sheet, I did the other. We make a Pokepaste, we chuck it into the chat, but at the same time, I don't know if our opponents want their paste to have been, streamed around.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
So at least if we tell them what it is, at least have a bit of foresight. And plus, with our commentary, they're gonna know a bit more than what they would have if they hadn't seen it at all.
If I brought my whole PC setup, it could work. Yeah, Kai, are you the only one who can hear us right now, or can the whole venue hear us? Imagine Sam's just sitting there, just hearing me talk shit about him. I didn't talk shit about him, actually.
Plenty of time.
Yeah, all right. We got Christian, we got Flair. Yeah, we'll save the shit talking for the end.
Okay.
We can hear you too. Oh god, no. Nah, Kai just said just myself and the stream. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know who's lying to me here. Can you let me know when we get team sheets, by the way? I'm just checking something.
Yeah, sure thing.
Where did Kai send us the list of everyone playing today? Don't think he sent it to us, did he? I believe it's in the PokeFolks Discord. Which, if you aren't in, by the way, you should make sure you join the channel.
His name, that is Scooteezy VGC, or he also goes by Scott.
Not Scooteezy.
Scoot, what would you like to go by today?
Anything, I don't care.
Alright. This sack of this beautiful man. If you haven't already, subscribe to his YouTube channel. Good content out there.
Have to make content for it to be good content.
Yeah, look, we're both on similar trajectories at the moment. All right, I'm gonna open up Christian's team sheet.
Oh, we've got them. Okay.
We don't have. I think we're missing one.
Oh yeah, Christian's my dog. He's running the dog, man.
I
remember.
Do you want to discuss? You can discuss that team sheet. You see him.
Yeah. Look,
then I'll handle Jared's.
I am pretty familiar with the best dog in this generation. So this is a really cool team that I have tested a very similar variant of myself in the past. This is a Zacian Regidrago team for Christian. Very, very good combo here. He's got the Urshi and Chien Pao and Tornadus all paired up with it. So this is a very heavily physically attacking team. He does have the Terra Ghost Regidrago as well, which is really, really cool into some of the Calyrex Ice matchups, or even just a lot of the Trick Room matchups. But yeah, this is a sub-Zacian, Tornadus with Rain Dance and Taunt. We have Urshifu Rapid with Mystic Water on this team. There is a Terrifier, Assault Vest, Rillaboom. Look, a lot of the spreads are pretty similar here, or standard, I should say. There's not too much to go into. And then, yeah, just a Focus Sash Chien Pao. That does have Ice Crash on this team over Ice Spinner, so that is something to keep in mind here. But I'll let you jump over to the other team, and then we can kind of discuss the matchup.
For Jared, we have a very unique team that might be a bit familiar to some people. Zamazenta with Terra Grass, Body Press, Heavy Slam, and Substitute for the fourth item of choice. We have an Incineroar with Safety Goggles, pretty standard set of the Terra Ghost. We have a Stellar Sword Focus Sash Shempao with Throat Chop, Spinner, and Sucker Punch. We have a Terra Ground Life Orb Pelipper with Hurricane, Muddy Water, and Wide Guard. We have a Terra Water Amoonguss with Rocky Helmet, Spore, Pollen Puff, Clear Smog, and Rage Powder. And we have a Raging Bolt with Terra Dark Assault Vest, Dragon Pulse, Thunderclap, Snarl, Electro Web. I believe this may be a team that Oliver Ramsey used in the GC to do pretty well, I believe. I think he hit 1700s on the ELO, so I'm wondering if this team can translate from a GC team to a best of 3 team.
I will say, looking at this here, the Amoonguss is going to play a very big role. There are a lot of mons here on Christian's team that do not want to look at a Rocky Helmet Amoonguss, right? I will say the one saving grace is the Chien Pao having Crash over Spinner here. But yeah, this is going to be very, very interesting. Kind of to see how both these players play this here. I do think the Urshi is going to be very powerful for Christian in this set. He just needs to make sure that he avoids the Amoonguss problem. And honestly, looking at this board state, this looks very, very good for Christian here, I think. The fastest mod on the board here should be the Zacian. I believe a lot of the time they are running Jolly at least 206 speed. I think even 207 if you want to catch the Iron Bundles, which honestly isn't really a big thing. But yeah, we also have the Urshi here who, you know, if left unchecked, can really start putting a lot of pressure on the board.
Alright, we get a substitute off with the Zacian. We have the Zacian 2.0 The Shen Pao.
I think this double up's going to KO here, by the way. And it
Yes,
does. Wow,
definitely.
okay. Really,
Very
really good
strong
read there by
start.
Jared. Getting up the...
Oh,
Sorry, you go. No, you go.
Okay, thank you. I think it was a very interesting trade from both parties. One, offering the substitute for the Urshifu. Will that pay off towards the end game?
The big thing with that is that the Incineroar can no longer intimidate it, right?
Yes.
I believe substitute blocks it. So having Zacian at +1 for the rest of the game here is going to be pretty important. And it's obviously going to be really interesting to see what happens here, because this is where things start to get really interesting, right? Because body press right now obviously will deal quite a bit of damage to the Qian Pao, right? Of course there is the option for Terra Ghost here. There is also the option as well in the back for Terra Ghost on Regidrago, which is also pretty solid. The issue with Terra Ghost here is the Qian Pao is still alive and it is still full HP in the back, so it's going to be really interesting to see how Christian kind of tries to maneuver around this, because I do think Jared's position is really strong right now.
Yeah, definitely. Jared has moved into a position where... Wait a second, I'm just making sure I get the teams right. Yeah, that Incineroar now is threatening a fake out into the Shen Pao. Very interesting here. The only thing that can stop the fake out is the Terra Ghost, and he goes for it.
Oh,
is that a double up into the Zamazenta that I saw?
I think it has to be, right?
Okay, going for the big damage, we have the Sword of Ruin, Sacred Sword that ignores the defense boost. We have the Play Rough.
Oh, and that just doesn't do enough damage.
Doesn't look like it's doing enough damage, even with Sword of Ruin and the +1 in attack still. We get a body press into the Zacian and an attack from the Incineroar.
The question here is, what did Incin go for? Did it go for the Sash? And it's just gone for the burn for the Zacian. All of a sudden, that gets really, really scary now.
Yeah, I think the saddest part of all was that the Terra Ghost was somewhat wasted on a turn that didn't need to be clicked.
Look, I don't want to look too far ahead yet, because this game it's not over yet, but I definitely think I would love to see Tornadus coming out next game, because the issue I have right now with this Regidrago in the back is it's likely slower than at least half of the team from Jared here, which means, like, we know it's in the back, but I just don't think it's really going to be able to play the game, at least without the Terra, right? If it had Terra Ghost, you can make some reads, but I feel like that mon sitting in the back right now is kind of wasted.
I think as well, because it's in the... Well, it doesn't really matter that it's in the back. When it comes in, the fact that it's slower than the Zamazenta, slower than the Shen Pao, it's sort of hard to position without it getting doubled up and KO'd.
Yeah.
Another very safe play from Jared, parting shot into the Zacian, making it almost do now like 0 damage. You've lost your attack boost and you've lost your and you've been burnt, so it's really mitigating the damage on this Zacian.
Yeah, look, I think you're really relying on Sword of Ruin to kind of carry you through right now if you're Christian, because yeah, this definitely feels kind of rough. I'm curious to see, like, look, I don't think this game's over by any means. I think if he's able to stop like the damage right now coming out of the Zamazenta, then there's definitely a chance. It's just, I don't know, it does feel pretty scary. Like, Zacian's still in a position where, maybe if it's able to get through Zamazenta, he's able to get through the Qian Pao, then maybe there's an endgame where Regidrago does just win, but it's feeling really rough right now.
Definitely.
Oh, okay. This could actually be massive, because I believe this was a double into Zamazenta, so with the damage of Sacred Sword, this might be enough still.
I think, yeah, we might just have to wait and see. We have the Terra coming out.
This is Terra Grass as well.
Terra Grass making a big call here. A Pokemon that's only got 30%, 40% HP, using his Terra to make sure it sticks around.
They are both -2. I think he's going to live.
Unless we see a critical hit.
Oh my goodness.
On a slither of health.
The body press is enough to... So, there is still a win condition here, right? Because Crash still has the damage to get through this.
Definitely.
Obviously, there is fake out pressure on the board. I think right now, if I'm Christian, I think you have to make the aggressive read here, and he's going to go for it by the looks of it. You have to predict that Scar here is not going to go the fake out. Oh, this is so dangerous. I don't hate this play, though, going for the Sacred Sword.
Very interesting play coming out from, is it?
Christian.
Christian here. Trying to make sure that he doubles into the Zamazenta. I wonder if Sacred Sword is enough to pick up from here.
I think it is from this range, but right now, I think the important thing for Christian is just making sure that you have Protect on Drago when Chen Pao hits the board. Yep. That is the most important thing, because if you cannot protect it, then you just lose. At least with your own Chen Pao, like, I don't know the calcs on it, but there might be a world where even at -2, the Sacred Sword into Sucker Punch can pick up the opposing Chen Pao here. But yeah, look, this does feel really, really difficult. I think Christian's gonna have to make some reads, because right now Ice Spinner does just threaten this Reggie Drago. Yeah. And it looks like he is just gonna attack on the Drago here. But yeah, look, Jared's just playing it safe
call.
There. Yeah. That was always pretty safe there for Jared. I think it's difficult, right? Because obviously the Protect is obvious. You know, there is still the Focus Sash up on the Chen Pao here, and you look at how much damage that does. It just, man, I'm sitting here, I'm looking at that, and I'm like, damn, maybe the play was you just go Protect, you go Sacred Sword, and then you pray you win the speed tie next turn. But yeah, look, that should be it now. Jared does have that wrapped up. The Sucker Punch plus knockoff combo here is just free.
Yeah, I think sometimes at the end of the day, the safe play is a safe play for a reason. I understand. Yeah. Maybe, you know, Christian felt like he was a bit behind, so he thought my best opportunity to win this game is for my opponent to make a mistake, which in all fairness isn't a bad approach when you're down 2-3. But would be interesting to see how he adjusts in game 2 to make sure that he can come out on top.
Yeah, look, I look at that game, and I do think that Reggie Drago late game there was, it was really well positioned if he managed to get through that Chen Pao. If Chen Pao goes down, I think Reggie Drago definitely could have won that game. I think looking at Christian's team here, I wouldn't mind seeing Zacian stay in the back and maybe trying to put some pressure on early with like Urshi and Tornadus. I don't know if you want to bring your own Chen Pao. Like, it's probably still fine, but I think something like Urshi, Tornado, Zacian, Drago here could be really strong. Just because I think you need to make him respect you early, right? And you know, he is looking at the Tornadoes here. Hopefully, he can't hear me.
He's thinking of making the. No, they can't. They can't hear.
Oh, he's gonna go Drago. Oh god.
Unless he goes for this, unless he's on the stream, he can't hear us, which is fortunate.
I actually don't hate leaving Zacian at home here either.
That's a very bold choice to leave you restricted at home, but it might be necessary.
Look, I think you would. I would still bring it here personally, but I can see the idea behind the Chen Pao here, because the thing with Chen Pao is if you are able to get the Terra Grass out of the Zacian, your best form of damage is going to be that Icicle Crash, right? And you've got the flinch chance there as well. It kind of gives you that extra, that extra win condition you don't currently have. So it's probably going to be one of those things where I think you want to use the the Urshifu early to try to get the Terra out of it. And then if you can get the Terra out of it, then the combination of Bleakwind Storm and Icicle Crash should be pretty solid here. So this also is a pretty decent position, I would say, for Christian as well, because right now, protecting the Urshifu is like definitely priority number 1, but it allows you to just go for the Rain Dance or the Tailwind here, and the next turn you're able to go for both. I do really like the Rain Dance Protect combo here. I think it just puts you in a really good position where you can really threaten next turn. Bleakwind is also really interesting if you predict the Amoonguss to come into one of these 2 slots here, or if you predict the Terra Grass to come out.
I think Rain Dance is always very safe here.
You just go Rain Dance Protect.
Bleakwind's next turn. I think it's very interesting that Jared did not punish the potential Urshifu change on this lead. I think the advantage that Christian has over this Zamazenta team is the speed control and the surging Rain Dance Urshifu.
Ooh, okay. And sorry to cut you off there. That's a really good play here, I think, for Christian as well, because what this basically says is, without a crit, you're not KOing either Mon here with the Zamazenta, which means your Instant has to stay in and attack this turn. You can't just pivot it out unless you make a call, right? Like, if you can get the... is it Rocky Helmet Amoonguss on this team? It is. So if you can make the right call and get the Amoonguss in, then it actually does start feeling pretty good, but... Yeah, like this is a read right now, and
making a very big play here. He's He's not opting to Bleak Wind. He's just going straight for the surging into the Incineroar.
Yeah, okay, that works out. That's really risky by Christian there though, because I do think an Amoonguss switch was incredibly obvious. Obviously, there's a chance it's just not in the game right now, but.
Yeah, potentially he's saying that he hasn't brought it, but the fact that he did not go for just the Bleak Wind surging to
very interesting,
pick up the damage on the Amoonguss on the switch in is it's quite telling of what Jared might have in the back. It might not have that Amoonguss to switch in on that turn.
Yeah, there's a really good chance this is just going to be something like Chien Power plus Raging Bolt here.
Definitely.
I'm really curious to see what Jared tips out here, because like even that play there by Christian was pretty aggressive, because you really didn't need speed control. Like the only thing I could think of there is if he felt like there was a chance that he got KO'd by Heavy Slam there. The taunt here also is really, really nice. I don't dislike that at all, and I do like the protect as well. Just taunt here, yeah, make sure he can't wide guard you. There is no Tailwind on the Pelipper, which I do think is important to keep in mind here. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how this endgame starts to develop.
Interesting thing to note.
Well, we have a Terra.
Zamazenta is actually a substitute, so I'm wondering if there's the option to click Wide Guard Terra Grass substitute if it's ever worthwhile to punish a passive turn.
I do think that here could be really good.
He may just be forced to go for the Heavy Slam into the Tornadus.
Yeah. Okay, I actually did think we
go for the Wide Guard on the Pelipper.
That means there's probably a Hurricane with, oh, you're right about the sub 2. There's probably a Hurricane with Urshifu's name on it here.
No. I'd say a Muddy Water to get rid of the...
Oh, yeah, Tornadus.
Yeah, very important to get rid of the Tornadus so it can't just Bleak Wind away your substitute that you've earned. Very aggressive play from Jared, but it pays off in dividends.
The question here, though, is you have Regidrago, and you're not afraid to use it. How many? Do we know how many turns are left of Tailwind here?
I would assume around 2 turns of Tailwind. Okay.
I think you just have to start clicking Surging into the, Oh, he's going to go for the close combat. Okay.
Does that...
Surging in rain with the guaranteed crit's just more damage, I think.
Yeah, I definitely think you just want to click Surging here. Especially since you're not picking up the KO regardless. I think...
Look, you're likely just sacking the left slot here anyway, and you're trying to just keep the Zama Center alive.
Yeah.
The other thing too to keep in mind here is we still have the Terra up as well. Oh wow, that was enough to... Oh, sorry, I thought it broke.
So he doesn't switch the Pelipper. He doesn't protect the Zamazenta. He's going straight for offense here.
Does this third one break it is the question. Took damage. It faded. Okay. There is a Dragon Energy that is about to bop both these mons.
Let's have a look. Dragon Energy into both targets.
And they're both down.
It's a double KO. A clean sweep.
Look, that... I get the play there, right? You're probably hoping the Zacian lives the Surging Strikes, right? Because... Oh, sorry, the Substitute lives it, I should say. Because if the Sub lives it, and then all of a sudden you fire off the attack into Regidrago, the game starts to look a lot easier. But yeah, look, this was a great adaptation here by Christian.
I gotta say, I'm not really a fan of what Jared did in that instance, because I think if Christian wanted to be safe, he could have Terra Water Surging, and that's always picking up the
sub, yeah.
The sub. I think potentially he had to switch into the Shem Tao on the Pelipper slot and consider protecting to try and do some it seemed like he was just in a very awkward position where he was pinned, and yeah, it definitely shows.
Do we know what the last one for Christian is here?
For Christian, it would be the Shen Pao.
Yeah, it's the Chimpa. Okay, yeah, so the end game there was pretty safe. Yeah, this definitely is over here. I believe Christian does have this wrapped up with his own Sash Chen Pao in the back. It should be fine. But yeah, really, really interesting that Jared kind of just let that one slip away. Like, I understand the idea of maybe not wanting to bring in your, like, you know, doing a swap there to get the Chen Pao in next to the Zama, like, on that Dragon Energy turn, but not protecting it is, I don't know, it's like maybe the thought process was just Surging's not going to kill the you know, the sub here, which would then allow the Zama to, you know, the sub would basically eat the Dragon Energy, you pick up another KO, you go into an end game where it's 2-on-2, right? And I'm guessing that was kind of a thought process there, but
I think there was a bit of
that was really well played.
Wishful thinking there. Potentially, we're not. Maybe it was a role, you know. But I think he definitely needed to do something a bit more proactively than giving both of his mons. But I'm sure Jared can shake that one off and adjust in game 3. We love seeing it go to a game 3. It makes it a lot more interesting. A bit of back and forth, a bit of a bit of a tango between the two opponents.
I'm just going to run a quick calc on this. Are we assuming... I think people are running, like, max defense, right?
2-4-4.
2-4-4 defense? Yeah.
And it shouldn't have max HP, but, like, it should be, like, fast-ish.
So, in the rain, even a jolly Urshifu with Mystic Water does 28% minimum. So, okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, so it was always taking down the sub there, which is good to know. But yeah, look, I'm interested to see how both players adjust here, because I do think the Tornadus Urshi was definitely the play. I think the lack of Amoonguss there was honestly pretty scary for Jared. I honestly think it should have come in every game. Obviously, it wasn't needed game 1. Game 2, I definitely think Jared wishes he had that sitting there just to click some redirections late game. But seeing Tornadus living 2 heavy slams as well, I do think is very important for Christian here. Knowing that he can live it, I think is very, very important.
It was very close, to be fair, so it may be a roll.
I think it did 88 and he was left on 99, so I don't think that's a roll.
Okay, fair enough. So then he probably feels, regardless, pretty comfortable going into it, whether it's a roll or not, that he should survive 2 heavy slams. I think one thing that's interesting, the 2 pieces that feel underutilized from Jared's end is that Among Us and is that Raging Bolt. Do you adjust in game 3 to try and cover for the Urshifu with either Raging Bolt, which also could probably help into the Regidrago, or do you go the Among Us?
Look, honestly, I'm looking at this. I don't think the Pelipper comes again. Like, in theory, it's cool, but I just don't think it's worth it. And the Qian Pao in that game in particular didn't do much, right? Look, I understand wanting it there to potentially, you know, help out and, you know, get off a sucker punch into that Regidrago. But part of me does feel just something like a Raging Bolt Amoonguss lead here feels pretty solid with, like, Instant Zamazenta in the back.
Yeah. I think the issue with leading Raging Bolt plus Among Us is it's a little passive into a lead that is hyper offensive. If you call the Urshifu lead, I think it's very strong. But if he leads Zacian and you get off a substitute, you can sort of block Spores, or you could lead Regidrago and you could lead high offense. I'd probably like to see Raging Bolt on lead with the Assault Vest plus a supportive piece. You could even see Incineroar Raging Bolt. That's exactly, I actually really like that lead. Or if you want to have more offensive pressure, you could look to bringing either Zacian or, funnily enough, I don't know if Pelipper ever comes next.
Look, I don't think it should.
Raging Bolt, just for its wide guard support, since Zamazenta can't click wide guard on this team.
I will say too, I really love this lead here by Christian, because what he's basically just said is, I don't care what you lead, I'm going to click Tailwind, I'm going to click Dragon Energy, and I'm going to make you respond.
I think this is a very good bullshit test.
Yeah, the only good call out here for Jared would be if he leads his Pelipper, which I just don't think you do into a potential Urshifu. There is no way you're ever leading Pelipper when your opponent just beat you with Torn Shifu turn.
Yeah, I think unless you do that Pelipper Raging Bolt lead that I was discussing earlier, you're in a bit of sky. Okay.
Yeah. And this here is really good. This is just Tailwind, it's Terra Ghost, and you just Dragon Energy this board.
And nothing can stop it, actually. The Zamazenta does not have Wide Guard. I'm wondering if this is a bait from the Incineroar to get the Terra Ghost out. Do you even need to Terra Ghost in this instance?
Look, you could just protect. I think. Yeah, and he's going for it too. This is big brain, okay? I like this even better than what I said.
Yeah. I think the beautiful thing is you're putting pressure onto the Zamazenta and the Incineroar to act accordingly.
Yeah, because this could just be a knockoff and a protect.
Yep.
Well, okay, Zamazenta likely has just attack. What if this is a double into Tornadus here? Oh my god, if this is a knockoff into Tornadus, things could get really scary all of a sudden.
Leaquin misses the Incineroar.
Which is honestly the important one too. That one probably just lived. Wow, and that's a really good call.
Perfectly. What a madman. I think this play seems relatively safe as long as you assume that it is not... I guess if it does Terra Ghost, you can parting shot...
This is a new mon. This is the Raging Bolt here, I believe. Oh, no. No. Okay, I'm just bad with nicknames, apparently. I was like, I haven't seen that name before.
Alrighty. I think you can... Ooh.
I don't hate him still just going for the Dragon Energy here. It's still really good damage.
He hasn't set up the Tailwind yet.
I believe he clicked it on Tornadus just then, no?
No. I think he clicked Rain Dance. Did I see that? Or did he switch?
No.
He was considering Rain Dance. My bad.
No, you never consider Rain Dance there. Your Tornadus dies this turn. No Sucker Punch coming out, so that's really good damage onto these two pieces. Because now, basically, what this screams to me is if there is no Raging Bolt or there's no Amoonguss in the back here, then Urshifu is about to run away with this game.
He goes for the Throat Chop into the... Reggie Drago.
Honestly,
calling the potential Terra.
Drago is still in a really good position because if it can just live this next turn, which Urshi allows it, it still has a massive Draco Meteor it can fire off.
I think you needed to click the Icicle or Ice Spinner to make sure.
I do agree. Look, because maybe the thought process was something was going to come in that resisted it there, but man, I don't know. And the Aqua Jet comes out too, which means Reggie Drago is free to Earth Power here.
Does it even need to Earth Power? Oh, actually, it's such lower HP. Fair enough. Earth Power is... Yeah, it is safe. It covers for the Incineroar switch in. No, I rate the play. Ignore me.
Okay, no. He's changing his mind here. He's going to go the Surging Protect. I also don't dislike this. I think I still would have liked to have seen the Surging into the left slot here.
I think he wants to sack his...
Ow.
Yeah, I actually...
Oh, and this is really good damage. Yeah, this worked out perfectly for him. Because Genpower's not doing anything on this board, Yeah. And now, this just put... Yeah, Christian's in a really, really good position. Because that is going to be a dead Zamazenta here. And now, all of a sudden, you have Aqua Jet to snipe the Chen Pao. And whatever's coming in has to eat a Draco Meteor here. And the question is, what on his team eats the Draco?
I don't think anything.
The answer is nothing. The answer is nothing.
I think the Zamazenta would have eaten the Draco, but now I think that's it. I think that's...
Yeah, I don't think a Terra Dark AV Raging Bolt even is going to eat it that well.
Well, let's see what he has, what he decides to bring in the back here. Could be the Incineroar.
It is the Incineroar here.
Pressure. Okay.
But again, you've got Aqua Jet and you've got double protect on both these pieces here.
The real question is how.
Actually, Reggie Drago did just protect.
I think you can just go for a double protect and you're not really losing too much. Or you can hard switch into Shenpao.
I don't like the switch. I think you just sack Drago here. Because you know this Chen Pao is always pinned by by Aqua Jet now. Does he hold it? He does not hold it.
Double protect. willing to sack his Reggie Drago for a better board state. This is
Actually starting to get
interesting.
scary for Christian now.
Yeah. I think Christian made the call that Shen Pao is not going to click Sucker Punch, and it sort of punishes him here. We have the Incineroar on Jared's team with Terra Ghost potentially allowing it to survive a Surging Strikes.
Going for the crash here is actually kind of crazy. I'm surprised this isn't just a Sacred Sword. Okay, now he's looking at it. Because this is likely just to protect out of the... Oh, actually, you probably don't protect the Chen Pao here, do you?
There's an argument for both.
I mean, look, you definitely could protect the Chen Pao here if you're predicting that Urshi's not going to attack it. But I believe this is the last turn of Tailwind, right? So it does feel kind of scary to not just like try to protect it and stall it another turn. But the big question here is going to be, is this enough to take out the Incin? This is Terra Water, it's Mystic Water, and there is a Chen Pao on the board.
Let's see.
The sucker comes out. Oh, that's a lot of damage. The Sacred Sword does pick up. The other big question here too is, what did Incin click? Did Incin try to take out the Urshifu here? And will it even matter?
Strokes coming its way. 1.
Oh, that's going to be close. I don't think it's enough.
2.
Oh, it's so close. It's not enough.
It goes down.
And with that, there is still a
crazy calc. Incineroar usually built to survive the normal Surging Strikes, but it cannot survive Surging Strikes with Terra Water and Sword of Ruin, despite having.
When the Pelipper does come again.
The Pelipper comes again. No Raging Bolt this game.
I just want to say, if there was a Terra Water Amoonguss in the back with Rocky Helmet, there is a very good chance that I think Jared could have pulled something out here.
100%. He could have switched it in. I think Pelipper just not doing what we wanted to do.
Yeah, wow.
Pelly.
Jeez, what a comeback from Christian too. That game one was so dominant for Jared, but
yeah.
Christian was just able to adapt. He realized that the best thing about a Zamazenta team is not, about a Zacian team is not the Zacian. It's the Chen Pao with his restricted Urshifu and Tornadus.
Yeah, definitely. I think what we needed to see from Jared is what Christian did. Christian was willing to adapt and change his strategy and the core pieces that he was bringing. It seemed like Jared wasn't willing to take a chance on bringing some of the other mons. Perhaps he thought that his game plan was better with the 4 mons that he brought, which it may have been, but I think we would have really liked to have seen that Raging Bolt with the Assault Vest, or that Among Us with the Rocky Helmet, as you said, would have cleaned up the game towards the end there.
Yeah, and look, it's one of those tough things, right? You like, obviously hindsight's 2020, but you look at that board state and you see Tornadus Urshi gets led game 2 and game 3, and it's like, there is a mon on Jared's team called Raging Bolt that would love that board state. It would absolutely love it, right? It gets to fire off the Thunderclaps, it gets to fire off the Electro Webs, right? Even things like Chen Pao, right? Like, you've always got that option of Terra Dark to live a hit, get off the Electro Web, and then all of a sudden, the Chen Pao is just not as scary. So, maybe, the only other thing I could think of here is, there was no Thunderbolt on the Raging Bolt, and maybe that was a big reason why Jared played the way he did, right? With Thunderclap being his only not only electric move, but his main form of stab there, definitely does make it a bit more difficult.
Well, one thing to note about the team, the Zamazenta team, the only form of speed control comes from the Raging Bolt. Having a look at Pelipper right now, it does not have Tailwind.
It's Wide Guard and Protect,
So maybe he could have used the Raging Bolt, Electro Webs to get into a position where he could win the game from there. I think Terra Dark Raging Bolt is really cool, into those size spam teams, hard trick room teams, snarling the Calyrex Shadows and of that nature. But in this instance, you'd probably want something more like that Terra Fairy to help in the Regidrago matchup. Unfortunately, we don't get to pick our terrors each match, or else.
Yeah, and look,
Yeah.
maybe that's what scared the Raging Bolt away, right? Was
Yeah.
maybe it was the hey, if Regidrago is just in a position where it can click buttons, then there's no point in bringing Raging Bolt. But
Yeah.
honestly, especially with the way the Terrors went in that game, I think Terra Water Amoongus would have been a huge bring. Even on lead, I think leading Amoongus with like something that can put on a bit of pressure, whether it be the Chen Power, the Raging Bolt, or something, just lead it on there and just say, hey, Tornadus, you kind of have to attack me, you have to taunt me here. Urshi, you can't really do anything with with Rage Powder on the board. I think it just forces Christian to play the game differently, and I think that's kind of what hurt Jared in the long run. There was he kind of just let Christian do whatever he wanted, right? He clicked the dragon energies, he clicked the surging strikes, and there wasn't much he could do about it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm not sure how was their results for that game, because I'm curious to see if we'll see them again in the future.
Both were 1 and 2, so I believe that puts Jared to 1 and 3 now.
Yeah.
Kai has also said that they are going on lunch for the next 45 minutes as well.
But does that mean we're going on lunch, or does that mean just they're going on lunch? And we have a Guts Ursaluna with Flame Orb, Facade, Earthquake, and Headlong Rush. We have a Charcoal Terragrass Torkoal with Eruption, Flamethrower, Solar Beam, and Clear Smog. We have a Volcarona with Citrus Berry, Terra Fairy, Fiery Dance, Struggle Bug, Rage Powder, and Quiver Dance. And we have a traditional Indeedee with Terra Fire, Psychic, Follow Me, Heal Pulse, Trick Room with the Rocky Helmet. Now let's go and have a look at Yoev's team sheet. We have a Zamazenta, Terra Fairy, Zamazenta with Wide Guard. We have a Ogerpon Wellspring. Haven't seen many of these in this format. With Ivy Cudgel, Horn Leech, Follow Me, and Spiky Shield. We have a Terra Water Raging Bolt with Booster Energy, Thunderbolt, Dragon Pulse, Thunderclap, Protect. We have a traditional Shen Power set with Throat Chop, Ice Spinner, and Sucker Punch. We have Volcarona with Rocky Helmet, Heatwave, Rage Powder, Will-O-Wisp, and Protect. And we also have a traditional Incineroar set where we have Terra Ghost, Safety Goggles, and we've opted as Flare Blitz for the 4th move. I believe we'll be seeing Yoev's perspective from this game. From my understanding, is Yoev is going into this 4-0, and Diego is going into this 3-1. So we're playing the 1st seed versus the 4th seed.
Is this a pair down?
This is top 4. So
top 4. Okay, huge.
First seed playing the 4th seed. I've gone over the teams. If you would like to have a look at them quickly.
Yeah, let me take a quick squeeze. So we got Diego playing Diego stuff as to be expected.
Mm-hmm.
Hard Trick Room, no Protect, except for Ursaluna, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
It's my goat right there. And then we have Yoev running Zama as well.
I think it's interesting to see some of the unique choices that both players have opted for. As you can see, like, this is a fairly standard team when it comes to Diego's, fairly standard for Diego's standards. However, we have a Serena on the team, and we also have a Volcarona. One thing I find very interesting about the Volcarona, it's a mon that can punish a double up into, for example, a Calyrex Ice. If you believe that you can set up a Quiver Dance and get the Volcarona going, you can actually win the game through a balanced mode rather than a hard Trick Room mode.
Question, did you notice the Serena's ability?
Yes, Sweet Veil.
That one stops you from going to sleep, right?
I believe so. So he does not want the Alcremie to do that job. He wants the Serena to do it, I suppose.
Very, very interesting. Obviously, it gives him an Amoonguss matchup, right? Because with Sweet Veil, you can't be put to sleep, which means Calyrex Ice kind of just gets to do what it wants to. But look, classic Diego, this is very, very interesting. I'm really excited to see how he kind of pilots this thing, because this is, this should be fun, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sort of happy we don't get to see Diego's moves, because it's always fun guessing which mon is gonna switch in to which mon, and I think I've played Diego at a major, and one thing I've learned from him, he is a very proactive player. He is always switching something in to get the maximum amount of value out of each turn. It's really up to Yoav if he is able to capitalize off that and take the win from there.
I'd be really curious to know who actually gave Diego his loss. Like, I wonder if him and Yoav have played already.
That could potentially be the case. I could actually have a look to the past to see if that is, what happened. Let's have a look.
So Diego beat Chloe in that round. No, I believe it was Sam Pendelis actually that gave Diego his loss. So
very interesting.
Sam looks like he could actually also be. Oh no, sorry, Sam also did lose as well. So it's going to be Sam versus Matt, who we've already had on stream, and then of course Diego versus Yoav. So yeah, this should be pretty fun. Let's jump into it. Chat is saying Sam. Well, there you go. So we have a pretty interesting board state here. Obviously, you have a Raging Bolt in front of a Calyrex Ice, which is never fun. But as you said, this is kind of what Diego really wants to do with his lead here, right? He has the potential right now to threaten with a Quiver or he just has the option to just go, redirection and just set up a Trick Room here. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how he plays this.
Yeah, I wonder if the Terra Water Raging Bolt is a direct hard counter to these sort of Trick Room teams that threaten, to sweep your whole team if you don't have an answer for.
Look, I do think Terra Water Raging Bolt does have some really solid matchups, right? I think always keeping your resistance to Urshifu is obviously pretty good. If you feel you're forced to Terra into things like Calyrex Ice Rider Kyogre, is also just really solid there as well, right? So, I definitely think, especially in this matchup against Diego, it's very good, right? It keeps your resistance into Volcarona, it keeps your resistance into Torkoal, and it gives you the resistance to Cali Ice. So the big question here really is, is this Serena in the back? And if it is, what's it doing here? We do see a Throat Chop come out, though. That does big damage here to Volcarona. The Citrus will activate. Question is, what did Diego go for here? Going Diego, this is likely just a Trick Room as the Volcarona does go down.
Yeah.
That was big damage coming out of the Raging Bolt there. Yeah. But now Diego gets what he wants. He has his Trick Room up, and he gets to play the game.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what he plans on switching in here to capitalize on this Raging Bolt. I don't think, on his position, I don't think you want to bring in the Torkoal. Never mind, brings in the Torkoal to threaten.
This is Solar Beam Torkoal, I believe.
That's very... Let's have a look.
I believe he runs Solar Beam on it. He does, yeah.
He 100% runs Solar Beam, Terra Grass. Would you go for a Solar Beam in this position?
I'm just saying, Solar Beam needs to work the same way as things like Electro Shot, man. Solar Beam should give you +1 special attack when you click it.
I think because Solar Beam is a Gen 1 move, it's not as good as,
It's not as good as Electro Shot.
I wonder if Torkoal's ever a bait here. I'm not too sure.
Bait in here to get the Instant out?
No.
Instant is pretty solid on this board state. The question is, what is clicking Terra here? Is this just a Terra Grass out of Torkoal? It is.
A Terra Grass to take the Thunderclap more comfortably. I could see Diego just going for the Eruption to try and get rid of the Shen Pao.
This could just be double spread moves here coming out of Diego. And it is the Solar Beam. Okay.
Big turn for Yoav. Pretty defensive play. High horsepower.
Ooh, if that
Double
went into the Insin,
Raging Bolt. Very aggressive
makes a good
play.
call there. Now the Flare Blitz looking to come out here. Unfortunately, Serena also doesn't have Queenly Magistry, so there is no way for Diego here to potentially block this. Oh, actually, sorry, I'm wrong. There is an Ndidi, potentially. There is always the option of Ndidi coming in on one of these slots here, so
Yeah.
I'm going to be very interested to see what happens for Diego.
With the way Yoav's playing, I don't think you even need to risk the Ndidi coming in here. I really like
I do agree.
this locking into Flare Blitz. It will chunk Torkoal massively, and yeah.
Well, the Eruption comes out. This will be decent damage. It is double resisted, but getting a good 40% on both mons can never be underestimated here. Oh, and the high horsepower just picks up.
That is a clean.
That is a huge crit.
Critical hit. Yeah, I believe that may have mattered depending on how the Incineroar is built.
Considering how much he took from the Eruption, I think it's very, very likely that he's very physically defensive, because that Eruption did way too much, I think.
Yeah, especially for the Terrafire.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Okay.
Now the big question here is there an Ndidi in the back? Can you risk a Thunderclap or a Sucker Punch here? There's 2 turns left of Trick Room. I don't mind attacking with both pieces here and then looking for the Trick Room, sorry, the Double Protect next turn.
I agree with you there. I think you're in the driver's seat. Just keep it going.
Yeah, look, Diego is a very aggressive player as well, so I would not be surprised if we do see a switch come out here.
I really like this call from Yoav to cover both the Psychic Terrain coming up and the Psychic Terrain not coming up. His Thunderclap the Torkoal, which will most likely pick up, and if it
definitely will
into an Ndidi, it will also cover that with the Throat Chop. I'm really
okay. So this should be the Ndidi coming in here. It's Ursaluna. Okay.
Okay, very interesting. Still getting decent damage off with the Throat Chop. High horsepower.
Oh my god, it just KO'd.
That's a one-hit KO. No, it isn't. That's a
wow. It's a 2. It did Eruption, but oh my god.
That's a big KO. We'll go with that's a big KO into the Raging Bolt. Throat Chop into the Calyrax.
The big thing here too is, like, we know Incineroar is the last piece on this team, right? No, sorry, Zamazenta. Incin went down, of course, the high horsepower.
I think he's in a very safe position here.
Look, he does have double protect here, and then he can really start to put the pressure on. The other big thing too as well is we know that Terra has been used, so body press into the Ursaluna slot feels really free right now.
Yes, definitely.
And Throat Chop should just be able to kill anything in the Calyrax slot. And Yoav has done a fantastic job bringing this back here. Like, I can't help but feel like if Diego had Ndidi as his last piece, he probably could have just wrapped this up here, but this has definitely made it a bit more difficult for him. And the lack of protects here too does just remove the guessing games here for Yoav. It's like he can just keep clicking body presses into the Ursaluna slot, and the Throat Chop and Ice Spinner is just enough at this range to KO both the Cali and the Torkoal. Definitely.
I think there is definitely the advantage of not running Protect in games like, you know, especially on a hard Trick Room team. However, if you fail to win the game in the 5 turns and you don't have that redirection, you can lose very quickly.
Yeah, and you see there, just the inability to protect his pieces, like, once the Trick Room ended, I think is just why Diego just, you know, he just forfeited the game. He knew, even though he still had 3 pieces left, the game was done at that stage, especially with Zamazenta and Xianpao on the board. Yeah. They were both faster than everything. They both threatened one-shots on everything. It was, it was pretty over at that stage, definitely. I think.
We have one of our commenters saying double redirection would have been very potent, in my opinion. And I tend to agree with them. I think that having the double redirection would allow for the Pokemon to, you know, sort of get more damage off, not feeling threatened, and as well, you can also set up that second Trick Room, which is often crucial in these sort of games. Especially when you're dealing with bulky mons like Zamazenta, Raging Bolt, Incineroar, and Focus Xianpao, you're gonna go into the next you're gonna finish off your Trick Room, and you're gonna want to set up another one.
Yeah, and look, I think Diego's probably realized that Ursaluna was a mistake, right? In hindsight, the Ursaluna's job was pretty obvious there, right? It's there to pick up the Incineroar, it's there to pick up the Zamazenta. It covers the Kali Ice there very well, but Diego did manage to get 2 attack boost onto his Kali Ice there, so it's one of those things where I think endgame, you're kind of looking at this and you're like, damn, if that Ursaluna was just an Indeedee, like, then the whole game changes. Like, that last turn of Trick Room, there's always the option of a double Trick Room.
Yeah.
There's the option of, you just go Glacial Lance, follow me, and then on the next turn, you can just go follow me Trick Room again. You get your Trick Room back up, and you have, like, a Torkoal and Kali Ice kind of just, trying to just win the 2-on-1, right? So, the 2-on-2. So, I do think Diego, he's a good enough player to kind of realize that, hey, Ursaluna was probably the mistake, and we probably need the Indeedee, especially too when Yoav's play towards the end of that game there was hey, I've got Sucker Punch, I've got I got Sucker Punch, I got Rage, Thunderclap, and I've got Fake Out, right? So it kind of just, I think it just makes the game a lot easier. Like once the Ursaluna was revealed, the mind games were gone from Yoav, and he was able to play the end game pretty safely.
I was gonna say, for Diego, I actually did not hate the Ursaluna. I think, very interesting approach. Anyways, we'll focus on
about that later.
In front of us. Yeah.
Volcarona, I think, is about to start clicking the fun buttons here.
I do not hate this at all. I think, you can just set up Quiver Dances and start threatening damage that way. Taking a different approach to try and call him off. Shen Pao wants none of this, and we're gonna see Raging Bolt.
I do think an important thing to keep in mind here as well is this is Ice Spinner, right? So he can remove the terrain, but he'll lose his health, his focus sash for it if he does attack. So yeah, it's a bit of a trade-off you have to make, right? It's like, do you really want to remove terrain but lose your focus sash? And evidently no. The answer here was just go into Incineroar, one that can kind of take whatever Volcarona is offering, but. Yeah, this is just a free Quiver Dance, and honestly, Volcarona can probably just click another one next turn.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't just start boosting up this Volcarona, and then potentially bringing in some other forms of offense to threaten both monsters.
That was
at the same time.
very, very close.
To a 2-shot?
Yeah, look, the double up from Incin obviously will get it done, but that Dragon Pulse did a bit more damage than I thought it would.
Yeah, definitely. Seems like he's going for a pretty safe play. Knock off the Citrus Berry onto the Volcarona and a Dragon Pulse into the Indeedee.
The question is, will this KO? With the Struggle Bug, it will not. Very, very well played by Diego there, actually.
Making sure that he gets the chip damage down and he keeps his Citrus Berry for a little bit longer.
Very, very smart play by Diego there.
Okay.
That's also going to be good chip on the Incin as well with the Rocky Helmet.
Now I'm curious, what mon do you bring in here to capitalize on this position with Volcarona?
Look, I kind of want to see Ursaluna, yeah. This is a one that pressures both these pieces. It doesn't need the burn to get going right now, but also, it's in a position where it can just deal a lot of damage to everything. Like, sure, if he knocks off the Flame Orb right now, that is pretty scary, but I think you're okay if you're Diego here, just to click Headlong Rush into one of these 2 slots.
I think, potentially risking the Flame Orb to continue putting offense onto the Raging Bolt and the Incineroar is a pretty strong play here. Especially now that the Raging Bolt isn't doing much damage, the Incineroar is probably the only one that can really move the needle here. I'm wondering how he will plan to proceed from here.
It's also going to be interesting too here to see if Diego opts for the Terra Fairy Ursaluna, because there is a chance he goes for a prediction here that a Dragon Pulse could come into that slot. It also gives him a pretty solid matchup into some of the pieces in the back as well. Obviously shores up the matchup into both the Zamazenta and the Chen Pao, so I don't hate it. The only option is it does allow Thunderbolts to start, being clicked into it. But he's ignored the Ursaluna.
That does a big amount of damage. He gets a free Headlong Rush. Well, not a free Headlong Rush, but he gets a Headlong Rush into the Incineroar to take it out.
I think we're in a position now as well where we could see Volcarona just switch over and start playing support. Yes, it's boosted up, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see it just start clicking follow me or rage powder, sorry.
That's a very interesting approach that he could take this game into. I don't mind that at all.
Because this is a -2 Raging Bolt as well, so I would assume he doesn't care about eating the Dragon Pulse into his Ursaluna right now, and yeah, you can just threaten big damage here.
Yeah. Okay. I think you could potentially, depends what sort of play you're wanting to make here. It seems like the Raging Bolt will be going on the offense here while he tries to preserve the Shen Pao, maybe trying to stall out Psychic Terrain.
Yeah, look, it's very likely he's trying to stall out the terrain here, but I also think he just wants to make sure that he can get a bit of chip off, right? Because I think he knows he probably doesn't just carry Ursaluna with one Ice Spinner here, but a second one likely will get it done. But I think he's also just expecting Volcarona to follow me here. So he probably just wants to try get it in range.
Alright,
Diego going for the Terra Fairy? Is it?
I believe on the Ursaluna, yes. We get the Terra Fairy on the Ursaluna, giving him a free turn to attack if a Dragon Pulse went his way.
Genpad does go protect. So I'm curious to see what the Volcarona does here. Does it attack or does it protect again? It does go another Struggle Bug. Honestly, not a bad shout there, because that does remove the Focus Sash if it connects. Is Diego crazy enough to click Earthquake here and just sack his Volcarona?
I think the opportunity for Protect is a bit risky. Ooh,
that's a big crit.
Into the
-3 versus the +1 Volcarona. That is very, very big. And Facade does come out. Ooh, this is very dangerous. Like, this is the last turn of Psychic Terrain, which is pretty bad for Diego here. And you would assume the Calyrex Ice Rider, he's left Kelly Ice at home. Very,
this
very
is not
interesting.
looking very strong for...
I mean...
I do not like this position for Diego.
There is still a chance that Ursaluna gets this done. It doesn't feel very good, to be honest.
I think the one benefit of Torkoal coming in now is that we're not boosting the Raging Bolt special attack. Alright, a double into the Torkoal, it survives very comfortably. Are we going to see an eruption to clean up, a flamethrower, or a solar beam?
He needs Chien Pao to go down here. That is very, very good. So, look, I'm not going to say it's over. I do not know how much damage Zamazenta Heavy Slam does in this matchup, but this is a pretty healthy Ursaluna still. It's still in a position where it can threaten a one-shot here with the Headlong Rush, I believe.
I wanna make a minor correction. We have Behemoth Bash.
Oh, with Behemoth.
Zamazentas, but this is gonna make this a lot more closer. I think if it was the Heavy Slam, Ursaluna would be able to tank some hits, but okay.
The double protect, very interesting.
Very smart play. He wants to call out the Protect on the Ursaluna and also get a bit of burn chip.
I think the burn chip's the more important thing here, if I'm being honest, because while Raging Bolt certainly isn't going to tickle... Oh, he's going to carry his own Torkoal!
He had to make a read, he had to make a play, I understand. But losing your Torkoal there is not good.
Yeah, you needed that just to put that little bit of extra pressure onto Zamazenta there, because I mean, now you're in this endgame where, you know, I don't know how much Behemoth Bash is going to do, but I feel like a Behemoth Bash into two Thunderbolts, like I don't see the out here.
Yeah, I don't see a way of getting enough damage, especially even if it was a Behemoth Bash. I believe...
And Behemoth Bash is just enough to KO.
Never mind. I was going to say, I believe even if he had Heavy Slam, I am not sure Earthquake would be enough to kill the Zamazenta, since it is spread damage.
That is,
and that is Diego down.
Wow, very, very impressive by Yoav there to get the 2-0.
Yeah. Yeah, and acts accordingly, because it is very likely that Sam decides not to bring the Terrapagos in order to beat the Zamazenta. We shall see.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting. I'm very curious to see how Sam approaches this.
Yeah. It's really a You know, it's a do you leave your restricted at home or do you outsmart the opponent and still bring your restricted? I think we have some interesting support pieces. The main one being the Fluttermane on Sam's team. You can taunt that wide guard away. However, looking at Yoav's team, he has a lot of things that can punish all the other pieces on Sam's team. I think the Volcarona will maybe not actually have that much. The Volcarona will be interesting. The Ogerpon for redirection will more so be interesting. I think you can play a pretty honest game of Zamazenta and you'll come out on top. Whereas Sam might need to play a, more off-meta style of Terapagos in order to come out on top.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how he's going to approach this, because, look, he definitely has the pieces, right? When there is an Urshifu, there is a way. But in saying that, the Ogerpon here is one of the best answers to the Urshifu. The Raging Bolt is another, so Yoav does lock in his mons very, very quick there. I believe this was a Zamazenta Ogerpon lead, so that is a very anti-Urshifu lead here, saying, like, hey, I dare you to lead it. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how Sam approaches this.
Yeah, definitely. I think Yoav is covering for the Fluttermane Urshifu lead from Sam, whilst also covering just from Terapagos being the lead. I think, he's very safe.
Yeah, and look, I would love to see what Yoav's spread here is on this Ogerpon, because this is also a mon that could put on quite a bit of pressure into the Terapagos here. Even the Fluttermane too. If the Fluttermane does come on lead, a Ivy Cudgel is not appreciated. So it will be very, very interesting to see how this kind of kicks off here. And it is Ogerpon Hearthflame with a Fluttermane next to it here into the Zamazenta and Ogerpon Wellspring. So look, a bit of pressure coming out here right now, I would say more so on Yoav's side. As I said, we know this Ogerpon is slower, it's bulkier. It probably does not hit as hard as some of the other Ogerpons in the metagame. And this Fluttermane also is a speed booster, and I believe its only offensive attack here is the Moonblast. So look, I think there's a good chance that we just see Sam just look to try to paralyze a couple things with this Fluttermane, and then kind of just hope that a few paralysis can get him a solid position in this game. But instantly switching into the instant here, this is a bit scary, I think, if the Thunderwave does come out here into Zamazenta. You would much prefer that Thunderwave be going into your Ogerpon here rather than Zama, but we shall see what happens.
Yeah. We see a Terra turn 1 to the
right into the Terra Fairy.
Worried about the Terra Fire Ogerpon terrestrializing and trying to snipe it.
And there's the Thunderwave.
Into the Zamazenta. Ogerpon is free to attack.
I believe this was a Behemoth Bash as well here into the Fluttermane, so if he does get this off here, it could be the end of Sam's. And it's paralyzed.
Oh my god.
I think Sam knew what his win con here was. It is get this Zamazenta paralyzed and then eventually break through it. Because this all of a sudden just makes things so much harder for Yoav.
Definitely.
Because at least had the Fluttermane gone down that turn, at least it's like, okay, I got paralyzed, but I took a piece. But now the Fluttermane's still alive. The Fluttermane could potentially go for a taunt here and stop things like Parting Shot. It could pivot out and come back later. Obviously, it's a fantastic switch in for Terapagos if you are trying to avoid the body presses. So yeah, keeping it alive there, getting that full paralysis is very, very important.
Yeah. I think, the Fluttermane switch is a bit telegraphed here. I think Incineroar might be coming in to take that Behemoth Bash, and as we can see, it is in here. Yoav sort of stuck in a awkward position where Zamazenta won't be doing much damage. It is paralyzed. It's what's it called? It's intimidated. The body press is all he can really hope for, but
yeah, look, I think Sam has really put himself into a solid position early here.
Yeah.
I just can't help but think if he just went follow me turn 1 with Ogerpon, how different this game could be right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Just take out that Fluttermane turn 1. Yeah, your Ogerpon gets paralyzed, but it's not your Zamazenta, right? And that's the main thing here, because like this instant could easily switch out right now, straight back into that Fluttermane. So it is a really difficult position for Yoav to be in.
The Incineroar is more likely just to go for the Terra Ghost. It won't be threatened by any of the hits coming from
You don't think he wants Terra late game for his Terapagos?
That's if he's brought it.
That is true. You think he's potentially just left it at home?
You brought Urshifu in the back here. Look at the pieces that he has. Fluttermane comes in, very safe switch for the body press, and we will most likely see the parting shot out from the Incin, saving his Terra for now. Who would he switch in here?
Again, I think it comes down to his last pieces, and we might actually get to see here if Yeti's Terapagos is not here.
Deciding to leave, you're restricted at home in this very difficult matchup.
Look, I think it's the right play, right? It's it is a mon that I think in this situation is very hard to play. And now we're in a position too where the Ogerpon does get to come back in, but there's just a potential, protect and a taunt here, is there not? Oh, that still does a lot of damage.
Yeah, body press still does a lot of damage into the Urshifu, but I think we're in an interesting position here now. Ogerpon is potentially faster than the Urshifu. Fluttermane is...
Oh no, he's let the Incineroar attack. It's not the Incineroar, the Urshi. Okay, no, and don't worry, it is a fast Ogerpon here on Yoav's side. Okay. Or at least a faster... Sorry, no, okay, no. I don't want to spoil it, but we did see Sam speeds that earlier. Oh, and the paralysis again on Zamazenta. This is becoming very, very difficult now.
Yeah, definitely. I still think, despite all the bad luck from the Zamazenta side, losing that Urshifu was a massive turn for Sam. I think you're pretty safe to bring in the Incineroar here, pivot around a bit, and now you can just body press the Ogerpon until it dies.
Yeah, this is definitely looking a bit scary. I think Sam likely predicted just to follow me out of the Ogerpon there. And then, yeah, obviously just the damage from Body Press and Horn Leech. Sorry, in that situation, at least it was Horn Leech. Does put Yoav back into a pretty decent position. But yeah, like, once again, Yoav's just in this spot where it's like, he could technically Ivy Cudgel left. He does look to switch out the Incin here, but if he ever gets this Fluttermane down with this Behemoth Bash, then all of a sudden it's going to be pretty scary. And we know Fluttermane didn't switch. It would have switched before Ogerpon there, so it has stayed in. So if Sam here can, if Yoav can just get this attack off, it does feel pretty decent.
Definitely. We are seeing what is most likely the Terra Fire from the Ogerpon. Wants to get off as much damage as he can. I think he's realized that he can't use the defensive Terra on the
Incineroar.
Incineroar to win this. He needs to go on the offense.
He needs a crit.
Another Moonblast. He goes for an Ivy Cudgel. Is this enough for the Zamazenta?
The -1 there may actually save him. Oh, and it's going to hold. He needs this K, and he's paralyzed again.
Paralysis again.
That is the third time it's happened. Sam knew his win condition here. Look, it's definitely not over still. There's still...
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It still feels like it's Yoav's game at the moment.
He still has a full HP Raging Bolt. He still has a full HP Ogerpon. He's still in a pretty commanding position. Neither of these mons really threaten him that much.
Yeah, I really like this play from Yoav. Pretty much saying, you can have my Zamazenta, but I want to pivot again. Lowering the special attack on this Fluttermane will allow him to switch the mons in the back and really, keep him safe.
Look, it just allows him to get the Raging Bolt in here pretty safely, I think. Like, I don't believe you're going to bring back in the Ogerpon right now. You're probably going to go Raging Bolt and then put it again next to Incineroar. But yeah, this is just a really good position. And again, we know this Fluttermane is a speed booster Fluttermane, which means it doesn't hit that hard anyway, right? It's probably very minimal investment. So I think just having the the -1 on that does just make this a lot easier. But Yoav here also just opting just to go for the attacks here. So I guess he's decided he doesn't care about Fake Out. It is time to just put the pressure on the board. Ivy Cudgel against all 4 mons here is incredibly potent. So if he can just keep this Ogerpon Wellspring alive here, it can really start ramping up damage. And in saying that too, you've got the Raging Bolt right next to it, also dealing massive damage.
Yeah. I think you just want to sort of be careful of letting the Ogerpon get Icy Winded or paralyzed from the Fluttermane here, because I think if it is slower, the Fire Ogerpon can potentially threaten
just
it with
one shot it, yeah. Now, you definitely are right there. The Thunder Wave here could be very, very big for Sam. Oh, and I believe he's just Ivy Cudgel the Ogerpon on the switch.
Massive call. Ogerpon switches in to an Ivy Cudgel. Ogerpon should be hitting first.
It will be hitting first as long as it didn't get faked out. The fake out into the Raging Bolt. Oh, there's going to be big damage.
Yoav makes a massive play this turn, and it's a one-hit KO into the Ogerpon. Huge momentum swing.
This just got really dangerous.
Yeah, despite all the bad luck, despite all the paralyses, he is coming out on top in a very dominant position.
Yeah, Sam, look, the RNG was definitely going Sam's way this game, but unfortunately, when you don't bring a restricted into a matchup like this, it can get difficult. And look, I completely understand why the Tropico stayed at home here, but now all of a sudden, he's kind of just struggling to put damage out on the board.
I think once Sam allowed for the Urshifu to go for free, it really took.
Oh, that's a crit, surely.
Piece out of his that was just a regular hit. I think.
Wow. Oh, and it lives on 1 HP.
1 HP.
But the Thunderbolt will come out.
Alrighty, and it seems like we'll be going into game 2 with Yoav as our victor.
Yeah, look, this one here feels pretty rough. You know, Yoav here locking in the Ivy Cudgel, locking in the Thunderclap, and yeah, Sam just cancelling. So, look, this matchup was always going to be really difficult with Sam. I do really like some of the plays he made early. The Thunder Wave was very, very good. Like, just calling the switch out on that Ogerpon was massive for him. And, you know, even with 3 full paralysis, you know, you just see how strong Zamazenta could be, right? How much attention it took just to, you know, just to take it down. I think it ate, what 3 Moonblasts, I think an Ivy Cudgel or 2. Like, it took so long to take that one down that it kind of just set up for the rest of Sam's pieces to, you know, Yoav's pieces to just, yeah, kind of just take it down.
Yeah, I think the defensive core of Zamazenta and Wellspring Ogerpon is just very hard for Sam to crack, especially when Urshifu is usually used to break these sort of teams. Also with Raging Bolt and the Incineroar, it's a very, very hard matchup for Sam. I'm not sure how he can do this into the next game.
Look, it's hard to, right? Because I think if I was Sam, and again, maybe I'm wrong here, but if your game plan is to get the paralysis onto the Zamazenta, which I think is definitely a very good way to look at it, I think you kind of need your Terapagos to actually deal damage in the late game, because if you could position it next to, like, say, an Incin, where you can Calm Mind, fake out the Zamazenta, you know, protect and pivot maybe into a Rillaboom, you know, all of a sudden you can maybe get up 1 or 2 Calm Minds, and then you can really start threatening that Zamazenta. But, yeah, if, you know, I'm just not too sure how Sam approaches this here. It's going to be very, very hard to secure this win, I think.
Alrighty, he leads the Urshifu and the Bloodamane. Very interesting positioning.
Yeah,
very offensive from Sam's end. So
this is really difficult for Sam because there are 2 things that could happen right now. Either his Urshifu just dies to a double up, or he gets redirected and Behemoth bashed into the Fluttermane where he just loses that. So this is a pretty good position for Yoav. Sam, you know, he could definitely, you know, make some calls here and get it right, but it's definitely looking difficult here, I think.
One thing to note as well is that Fluttermane cannot protect. So if he throws an attack into the Fluttermane slot, it will land. Alrighty.
He's gone for the Horn Leech into the Incineroar here. Very interesting. I wonder if that was a misclick.
I'm not too sure there. Potentially he was worried that the Incineroar would switch in on the Urshifu slot and it wouldn't be enough to pick up a KO.
He went for the Horn Leech into the Fluttermane though.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it wouldn't be enough to pick up a KO because the Incin would come in. So he's healing his health so that he can kill it later in the game and preserve his Urshifu.
Sam's just made a big read here. Has he gone for the Terra Water Surging Strikes in front of the Zamazenta?
Poison in order to survive the body
Eat the body press. Very smart. Sorry, that's my bad. I just assumed it was Terra Water.
Oh, good. I think this is a very good play from Sam here. I think this is the piece that breaks these sort of teams, and you need to just keep utilizing it to get ahead. Big Surging Strikes into the Zamazenta. Will this do half? Let's have a look.
That's gonna do roughly 80 to 90 damage, I think, overall. Yeah, we get 82 out of it.
I don't.
I mean, look, that's still really good chip. But the question now is, how does Sam approach this? Because now an Ivy Cudgel probably just bops this Urshifu.
Well,
So-
I think if you fake out support, you can probably position so that you get one more Surging Strikes into the Zamazenta.
Yeah.
If that's what you're going for. We would assume that he doesn't have Terapagos in the back since he has Terrad with Urshifu so freely. It may be Ogerpon or Rillaboom to help clean up the endgame.
It's gonna be interesting here because a fake out into the Ogerpon here is somewhat obvious.
Follow me.
Oh,
Very
he's called it.
interesting.
He's made a
called
big call.
massive play here. Sam is trying to get as much value as possible each turn, but ooh, interesting. Okay, so very defensive plays from both players. Follow me from Ogerpon, and the switch into the Flutter Mane for Sam.
This is becoming very difficult. I'm curious what the goal from Yoav here is, right? Because obviously there's the chance that Instant always just comes back in on that Behemoth Bash, right? So it really does just kind of become a game of, can Sam maybe get through this Ogerpon without losing his Urshifu? I kind of feel like that's where the game's sitting right now. And is there ever just going to be a casual, Thunder Wave just thrown at that Zamazenta?
Alrighty, Incineroar comes back into play. We've got the Follow Me coming out from the Ogerpon. What does Urshifu lock into here? Ooh,
I'm
that's
curious if
adding
this
up.
is the close comp. It is not. It's the surging into the Wellspring. That is going to heal it back to full. And now things are looking scary for Sam because this body press will go before. Yoav, though, does go on the offensive here. The fake out does come out. And the Ivy Cudgel, though, should just pick up the Urshifu here. And it does. Oh, things are looking really scary for Sam. We get to see his fourth Mon, but I don't know
not looking very promising for Sam. This is going to be a sad flight home for him.
I'm looking at this. You'd think it's his last piece would have to be Hearth Flame here, you would think, but unfortunately, with the Terror already being committed, its damage output will just be lacking.
Yeah. I think Yoav has really taken advantage of his positive matchup. Now he knows that he can body press the Incineroar very freely, because even if Incineroar parting shots, it will hit the Ogerpon or whatever other Mon is in the back. Follow me, so there's no Thunder Wave shenanigans. Moonblast into Ogerpon.
That still did a lot of damage, but that should just be a one-shot. And yeah, this just looks very, very good for Yoav right now. This Zamazenta is in a very, very good position. And I think based on last game as well, I just do not think there is enough damage coming out of this Flowman right now to pick up the KO. Maybe best case scenario right now is a crit Moonblast snipes the Ogerpon and then a Terif, the Ivy Cudgel crits. Like that's kind of it right now. I can't really. Yeah, and Sam's just gonna forfeit.
Sam just forfeits. He knows that he doesn't have a chance of bringing it back. And
yeah, look, that.
Our what is it? Our PC champion Yoav.
That was incredibly well played by Yoav there. Obviously, unfortunate for Sam, right? Pulling the Zamazenta matchup as the Terapagos is never fun. Clearly tried to play to his outs there, but it's a difficult matchup, man. It's not easy. You end up in situations like that, and it's just. You just see this Zamazenta taking 0 damage, and all it needed was a little bit of support, and it's just, one-shotting or two-shotting a majority of Mons. Sam had to defensive terror just to live the body press, but, it still went down to 2 body presses into an Ivy Cudgel, so, Yeah, look, it was a difficult one for Sam. You know, you do feel bad seeing that in the finals, but look, Yav still played it fantastically. You know, protected the Zamazenta really well, especially in game 2. And yeah, that's why he's our PC champion.
Yeah, I think Yoav, although he had a very positive matchup, there was times where he knew when to push the tempo, but there was also times where he knew that he didn't need to make any risky plays. He played very conservatively when he had the match in his hands, because he didn't need to throw it away. I really liked how there was turns where he knew the pressure that was upon the Ogerpon to get Thunderwaved, Icy Winded, but he still attacked with it. And then there was turns where he knew that Fake Out's coming out, but he's still clicking Follow Me on that Ogerpon, so he can't get a free Surging Strikes into the Zamazenta.
Yeah, he definitely did position it really well, and you know, yeah, I basically agree with everything you said. Right, he knew when he had to push, he knew when he didn't. You know, yeah, there was a couple times where maybe he body pressed into a Flutter Mane that switched in, but I mean, he really wasn't losing anything for those turns, right? It's like, yeah, he clicked it, but you know, so what, right? You've got the Ogerpon sitting there protecting the Zamazenta, so yeah, it was very, very strong.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, look, I think that does wrap it up, at least for us. I believe Kai was saying there is one more game. It's a best of one that he wants streamed. But I unfortunately do have to run. I cannot stick around for the extra best of one.
Oh, good. I'll probably be hopping off as well.
Yeah, off too.
Thank you, everyone who watched. Thank you to our competitors, and thank you to Lord Kai.
Look, really appreciate it. Once again, obviously, massive shout out to Yoav. Congratulations for the win. Is there anything else you want to say, Dim, before we jump off?
No, not really. I really enjoyed this. It was a pleasure working with you for this one. I reckon.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
A couple more of these in the future, I reckon.
Definitely.
Hopefully, some Melbourne ones eventually. We got to get Kai coming down.
Get him to host some real locals. You know what I mean?
Also, Kai, am I allowed to put bets in for the matches? Because I've been putting bets in, but I don't know if it's insider information.
You're allowed to.
I got the last two on the money. I wasn't sure how much coinage I had. I would have put more if I knew.
All good. Well, anyway, guys, I do have to dip. Obviously, thanks again, Kai and Dim, for everything. Really, really appreciate it. But yeah, I will see you guys hopefully the next time we do one of these things.
Too easy. Kai,
yeah, cheers.
Catch you around. No, we're all good.
All right, I'm out. Catches.
Catch ya. Invest in Kai coin. Goodbye.